Hello, gamers and gamerettes and people of everywhere. My name is BlameFrost. But for the Borderlands fanatics and old schools, formerly known as the Cold Treats, I think this was also before your time too. But that name may sound a little familiar.
It sounds familiar, but definitely before my time.
Let's see. I mean, the big thing that I'm working on recently is I'm opening up my own GTA RP server. So I've been doing that for the past like month and a half. So it's getting a little juicy out here.
Honestly, juicy is the right word for an RP server.
Yeah, it's a lot of work too and a lot of money. but we're doing it. Yes. And ironically, me and the number one dev beside me is Epic Energy. So we're running it together.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. So, what? This is a little maybe embarrassing. Explain to me GTA RP. What is the mechanic? Like how the fuck are you getting a bunch of guys to come do this? Because I know this is a very popular thing and it's something that I would have eaten the fuck up and always thought about, but it's like been intimidating because it's just been around for so long that I haven't ever. But every time I see like your smackdowns with it are art, but then everything around it, it's just always people I don't expect. So like explain the premise to me.
Okay, well, you can go 14 different directions, right? Like if you're at the fork in the road, there's 14 different forks because it all depends on the type of server it is. A lot of servers, some are quote unquote more serious, which means like you would need to like stay in character, be your character, you know, all that. Some are much more laid back and considered semi RP, which is kind of more of a social space that you can act, but it's more of a social hub to kind of hang out in just the GTA world. I lean more towards the more performative, serious RP, or we do. So, you know, like, obviously, there's a lot of shenanigans. Like, the main character I play is Lil Skirt because I make music through him. Right. You know, he's like a fuckboy SoundCloud rapper. So, you know, it's in a way, it's being able to perform and act just in, like, the GTA world is the best way to put it, you know?
So it's just a really true RP server, but you're D&D without the dice kind of RP kind of stuff.
Yeah, basically. I mean, obviously you can go very unscripted and just kind of let whatever happens based on who you come across. You can sometimes, you know, kind of in the back end, we'll like be like, oh, let's have these characters meet up and then see what happens. You know what I mean? So like you can kind of pre-plan if you want, or if somebody comes to me with an idea like, yo, I want my character to do this. Can you hook me up with these tools to do that? You know what I mean? So
I am so mad I didn't know that people were doing this on GTRPs like ages ago, because one of the most embarrassing things about me, I always like, I tell this in like work settings too with the jobs I do, but I learned to code back on Myspace. And I tell people that a lot in business settings where they don't, you know, get why they're like, oh, cool, like layouts or something, or like MySpace seems so like far gone for them and they like don't process it. It was because I was role playing on MySpace. Like that's where I like really learned to write, and it was like these long form like book novel lengths kind of stuff, but you would like make the layouts and the profiles and these, you know, widgets and stuff like that, and it was a lot of the story planning. And ironically what got me into the idea of like storyboarding and stuff like that for like making a show bible for different screenplays I was working on, and I got to handle that more. But it was so hard to find, like, it's such a niche, like the online RP kind of thing, that it just felt like short of like RuneScape or something, which isn't the same thing. And
it's it's a lot more performative than that versus RuneScape, which is much more. I mean,
that is truly like it's an RPG versus like you're RPing, and I don't think people understand the theater of it.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of work that goes into the theater when you want to create memorable characters. The best way I can also put this too is, how do you make somebody stick around when they just join the like your stream or whatever they're watching? Because the best way to that I feel like makes sense to people is if you come into my stream and I'm, you know, neck deep in an arc or a storyline with somebody, you don't know my character, you don't know who the characters I'm interacting with, so it's like you're jumping into like season 3 of Supernatural where you don't know what's going on. I should not have picked that name.
No, you shouldn't have. PTSD right now.
But of any show, you know, you jump in season 3 of Walking Dead, you don't know who's who, you don't why would a viewer out of context come in and be invested in these characters?
Yeah, if you start with Negan, you wouldn't care about what happened to Glenn if you have no idea who Glenn is, kind of thing.
Right. So, you know, how do you bring these characters to life and make them lovable or like invested in what's going on? A lot of people don't really see that, you know, so it's hard.
I really want to pull on that thread, but I'm still stuck on just walking in at season 3 of Supernatural. Supernatural, I just need to say this, would not make sense if you start at episode 1, season 1. If you randomly, like, it just doesn't.
Right.
Oh God, I'm putting my Supernatural rant into a backpack somewhere. It's gone. It's fine. We're under control. How long have you been doing this specific server, like this, or this group of people who've been doing it? Yeah.
A very small circle. Just like I said, me and Epic are the main like two deving on it, quote unquote. But we have a couple of small circle staff members. And you know, keeping it small and just seeing where it goes. But it's been I've been wanting to potentially do my own server for years. I've been RPing for years, off and on.
Hell yeah.
And
Hell yeah.
it's just hard because you'll join a city and there's so many things, there's so many dominoes in effect, which is you need to make sure the city you're joining isn't full of shitters or people who were just like trying to mask, racism, bigotry, sexism, like all the characters, because people are just like, we're online, so like there's people you'll come across that will naturally just target women and just be, disgusting.
Oh my god, people on the internet target women online, crazy. Oh my god, I had no idea. Wild.
Yeah, so you have that, and then you have to make sure the staff aren't shitters. There's so many cities and stories I've heard of like staff trying to like blackmail women to like send them, pictures to like get stuff. It's regular people running these things at the end of the day.
And people suck.
People are horrible. So
people fucking suck.
So it's kind of a combination of that, and then also 5M can be a big money sink because you can make money from it. Like you can sell stuff that people to get and yada yada.
That's pretty sick.
So hopefully, luckily, it's a business venture at this point. Like it's something that I can easily fail at. It's something I can easily excel in if we do it well. Our goal is to just be different from other cities and be more consumer friendly. Because for example, you can buy a car, like a one of one, which is like you're the only person in the city to get it, and people on average charge those for like $100.
Honestly, I get it. I get it. As someone who spends way too much on skins and video games that I swear I'm not going to do it. Like, yeah.
Right. Exactly. So people charge egregious prices in our opinion because it's like, it's just so we're going to be much more consumer friendly and just try and do things different than the average server you typically go to. So we'll see what happens. I
think also it's easy to exploit the emotional attachment people get in RP specifically, and a lot of people who don't roleplay or haven't done that type of like game mechanic don't get that. But if you're like actually invested in the story of your character and putting some stuff behind a paywall would be probably pretty easy to get people exploited.
Yeah, for sure. It's rough. And a big thing too is also making people don't know how to differentiate a character that you're playing and then taking that out of the city too. Like if my character was an asshole to you, that person behind the screen would get mad at me IRL. It's like you know what I mean? Like people don't know that gray area happens so often, that blur happens so often.
Have to toe that line so much in cosplay because so many people want to interact in character if you're like out, but then they like don't know how to prepare for that, or then also like I'm sorry if I'm a handsome Jack at the time. He's kind of, I don't know if people know this about Jack, but he's kind of a douchebag. And so it's just, I never know what people want. Do you want me to be, oh my God, thank you? Or do you want me to be like, thanks, kitten? Or like whatever. And it's always like that line of like, when people try to like push and like ask in character stuff. And then it's weirder though on the other end when it's like not an asshole, like, and when I've been in BioShock cosplay, if I'm Elizabeth ever, it's always like that weird, like, okay, I'm a person in here. Like, like, don't worry about it. It's fine. Please stop thinking of things right now.
Yeah. So literally, you would fit right into the space. Like, it's literally that. You know what I mean? So, but it's even worse because you're behind a screen.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that, dude, that was a big thing with the drama of MySpace RP, of people getting so attached to like these. It was, dude, I could do an expose.
Yeah, for me, I mean, MySpace was such a big part of just like my youth coming in. Like, I mean, we're similar ages, so
I think we're the same. Are you younger? I don't remember. I know we just talked about this the other day. I don't remember now.
Well, let's see. I'm letting you go first.
No, I'm afraid now.
So
what? Okay, wait. Let's do this in a reverse order. What was one of your like senior year high school songs, like popular pop songs?
Oh, dear, good Lord, you're asking me. That was when I'm just gonna call it out. That was 13 years ago. I don't even remember.
I can't even do the math on that. Okay, were you in high school when Borderlands 2 came out?
Yes. Wait,
it came out in 2012.
That was 2012.
Yeah, it came out in 2012. Yes. Okay, so I'm older.
Okay. Well, it's okay. You look younger than me. See, there you go.
I think I gave BC a stroke when we were talking about ages. I'm 31, and
I'm 31.
Then how the fuck were you in high school in 2012? We graduated 2011, fucker.
Wait, I'm an idiot. No, never mind. Okay, you threw me off. I was thinking of Borderlands 1 for some reason, which was 09. Sorry. No, I graduated in 2011. Okay,
I failed math. I understand. It's fine.
Yes. Well, I literally mathed properly saying 13 years ago, and then just mind blanked there for 2012. Okay. Yeah,
Either way, BZ and I were talking at one point, and I said I was 31, and he literally did not believe me. I'm like, that's how I feel all the time around all the Borderlands dudes. Because I think
so. Right. So we're both literally MySpace like prime. I mean, I remember so many days I would be on 14 different sites, probably virused out of my mind, trying to find
Oh,
like the perfect like frosty background.
mygen.co.uk at layout builder, like literally every single one, figuring out how to view top friends that were hidden, finding
Yeah.
the right widget, changing
Yeah.
your MySpace song repeatedly.
Oh,
The
it
best.
was a time. Like genuinely coming home and like if you were lucky enough, your comments were just popping. You
Your
had
comments
14
were about
messages, 10 friend
bulletins.
requests.
When
Like,
bulletins became a thing and you got to like do like share trains and things like that and like
mhm.
surveys. And so you just, you got to be creative with it. No social media has eclipsed really. I think early Facebook kind of did with like when they had pieces of flair and all the fan pages, like it had that personality, but no social media has had the personality MySpace really gave you.
Even then, because when Facebook quote unquote got more like popular, aka I think because Facebook used to be for college people, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
You could only
that
do it
was
with
it.
the
So
EDU. Yeah.
yeah, so that branched out, and then people kind of migrated from MySpace to Facebook, and I was like, MySpace is better. Like
I stayed on
coming on to it,
MySpace until they did the 2.0 thing where they fucked
right?
all the layouts and it was a music
Yeah,
only site.
yeah, basically, literally same. And then like Justin Timberlake bought it or something, but
Yeah. Yeah.
no, 100%. I'm mad because all my pictures were on there, and I forgot to grab them before it like transitioned to 2.0. So like
Good.
most of my life is just gone.
I know. I
But
will
it's
literally. The other day on stream, I was sitting there going like, "Wait a second!" I literally tabbed out and just typed in a URL, seeing if I could remember one of my RP accounts, and it was still up, and I found it. And I have no idea the login for it, but it's still there. And
Mhm.
I was like, "Good to know some of my sins are still out there." Like that. That could be a thing, a relic at a point. My personal one, way gone, but some of these random like Law and Order roleplay pages or whatever are still there.
So you've been doing this. You were ahead of the curve, if anything.
Oh my god, I was
You
so
should
ahead of
have.
the curve. I literally my first spec script, like spec scripts are just if you're writing screenplays and you're writing something that could fit in an existing TV show, you're doing it for free, but to show the voice of whatever, and it's how people used to really get hired. They don't really do it anymore. But
Mhm.
it was like a big like you need a really solid spec to show your voice and that you can like get along with the tone of a show in a room, all that. X-Files and Law and Order SVU were my favorite spec scripts, and I was in like fifth grade. Like it was like it was a thing. And so Law and Order was my baby, a little bit of my
Yeah,
baby.
I
And
remember.
yeah,
I remember for X-Files because my mom used to watch it, and I was like still young enough to where it was like, oh, this is like more adult, too weird for me. You
oh
know what I
yeah,
mean?
it's
And then
still
I
weird.
compensated, and then So Weird was on Disney.
Hell
You
yeah,
remember the show?
I do.
And even though this was like more of, for us, like our age
Yeah,
speed of like this is weird, but no, X Files was dope. I
X-Files
got
is so
back into
good.
that. I really like X Files.
I just got my DM for like my main D&D campaign right now. I like wore her down to start watching it because her parents wanted to finally like go back and watch it at a point. I was like, yes, you need to understand. And I'll get the most cryptic messages, and it'll be one be like, wait, Scully is like kidnapped by aliens, and I'm like, oh, wait, it'll make sense. It'll make sense. Don't worry about it. Like I just, it's so good. These out of context messages. I'm like, I would give anything to be able to go back and just like relive that for the first time. Honestly,
Yeah. Yeah,
so good.
it's I think about it all the time. My MySpace page is still up. I was doing music way back when too, so
Dope.
like that was like peak.
Oh yeah, that
And
would have been the
I had my
perfect place for you. And then yeah.
oh, it was amazing. Like I made a song called I Hate High School, and that like actually took off my MySpace career. Like genuinely, it was that in a song called Crank That I Don't Know, because this was the Crank That era, and hands down one of my favorite eras of music. Like
The
the Snap
crank
era
that
is
era is
oh,
a
it's
sentence.
peak. I will die on that hill. The Crank That era. The not only that, the music era in like early 2000s is peak.
Oh
Like
no,
at
it's
this
so good.
point.
It's most of my playlists at a point. I try to branch out and then I will always remake the same nostalgia playlists that are just like the early 2000s through
It's the
early
thing is,
2010s.
it's not a boomer take, like to me, like because I still listen to very modern stuff all the
Oh
time.
yeah. Yeah.
But it's you just look back at the genuine uniqueness of the Nellies, the like the Timbalands, the Missy Elliott's, like Ludacris, like all of these people.
Yeah.
It's that era was just
It
ridiculous,
slaps.
filled
There's
with
nothing
talent.
like it.
There-
Nothing sounds like it right now.
yeah, no, yeah, like period. That was the era, and yeah, I mean, I have my nostalgia playlist, and it's just filled with all of it. It's too good.
It feels very unironic in a way. Like it's very just like sincere is almost too strong of a word, but unironic feels like the way to do it. Where now like a lot of the like main poppy pop songs that feel like throwback are a little bit like, hey, like this is, you know, not nostalgia, but like yeah, like feeding on that
Hmm.
feeling. But back then it just like we had songs that were truly just like what country songs do now, where they just like tell you the story in the song, but then it's just so what it is, the early 2000s music, and I fucking love it. I love it so much.
Not even just that, but everybody sounds different. Like you could blatantly tell what this artist was trying to do because they had to stand out as well. Like now you can kind of get away with making similar stuff because it's just earwormy, you know what I mean? But like then you needed to, have that different flair and sound, and it was I would die on that hill. That and 80s music for me is my favorite decade of music. That one's more of a hot take though for people.
No, I love it though. I think that's the thing I really like about Chapel Roan too right now. Like it's just like the music feels so not of this era and very 80s. Sabrina Carpenter a little bit with People Gang On, but it's mostly her. Where that 80s just fun like spirit of it's something just hits with it. That I find a lot of my nostalgia playlists are all like the 90s, 2000s, and early 2010s, but my character playlists, when I make a billion ones forever, have so much fucking 70s and 80s music.
Right. Because me and my partner, we have the argument because she's just a big 90s girl, right? Like alternative, emo, like all that,
I get that vibe from her. Vibes,
like, so like, and I'm like, to me, of course, every era has the very upbeatness and then the very sadness, but to me I feel like 90s transition because that was kind of the big transition peak is like grunge and more I guess exposing the sadness of their songs versus like 80s, which is just like they're still talking about drugs in this, but it's upbeat synth piano.
Like Billy Joel is talking about wanting to kill yourself and being an alcoholic, but it's to like Piano Man, and it's like
exactly.
Like, it's just very No, I feel that. I feel that. And then I have like the same, like Steely Dan will come on. It doesn't feel, it never feels like it matches the feeling it actually gives you. And so sometimes I'll like be driving and a playlist will come on and I just like get hit with the weight of the song and it's just like something like moderately upbeat. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to cry. Like it's a song I've heard 1,000 times where it's just like, I'm on fire comes on. And I'm like, oh my God, it is like someone took a knife, baby. Like it's just, music's great.
But I push for that, but and I tell people now because I ask everybody because I have a lot of like quote unquote old heads of like me and my brother. He's a few years older than me. We always talk about hip hop and stuff, and I'm like the stuff that's out now. I was like I cannot hear it being played in 10 years, 5 to 10 years versus like what we had back then.
That's still being played now.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, so to me, I feel like it's where we're at. Like a good example too is $1 Million Baby. I assume you've heard this a million times. It just sounds so different. But it has a weird nostalgia feeling, even though it doesn't have one, but it feels good. And,
no, I totally get that.
So,
music's great. I feel like that's a lot of like where I'm at with like games and movies and just any type of media we're really consuming. Is I miss when things used to have like curated soundtracks. And I feel like that's one reason why like the Barbie bullshit this past year was so hype because it truly felt like an old school, like that true nostalgia, like unironic marketing campaign with it. And I think that's why things like Borderlands, like we're so attached to like, if I see one more tweet about like the movie better have, cagey elephant in it and stuff like that, where it's just like you so quintessentially associate music with these feelings from these games. But like, we sleep on so many good soundtracks. And then I think about I like Grand Theft Auto, like going back to that, like I know so many Spotify playlists pop up for me that's like Grand Theft Auto Radio that it's such an iconic part of the DNA of the game that I feel like we just take so much for granted. But like it matters. That's why Tarantino movies have such specific music in it because it really is such a big part of it. And I feel like I want games to go back to having these like I hated Borderlands 3 ending with Girl on Fire, but like it was funny at the same time, so like fine. But like that type of just like commit to just putting in this song and having it be part of the DNA of it, because like Cyberpunk, that really worked for me, and having all that. Alan Wake 2 clearly rocked it. All of them do, but fucking love Herald of Darkness. It's my baby.
It's so. I love for Alan Wake specifically. They just took it miles ahead because they did a fake band, but it's a real band.
It's a fake band, real band that's through multiple games too.
Right. Yes. Like, exactly. And
but the callbacks for Control,
it's just Chef's Kiss.
So good.
Oh, it's just Chef's Kiss.
I love how you said that as I did the Chef's Kiss. Like it truly is though. It's fantastic. And then like the dance with it. And again, it's something that like you can't package and market and be like, this is gonna like be the thing that takes off, but it works so well. And when you picture a survival horror game like Alan Wake 2 was, which is a masterpiece, but then throw in something absurd like that and for it to work so well.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so
I haven't
good.
played the DLC yet, but
I haven't either. I want to so bad.
Yeah, Alan Wake for me, because I played the game when it came out.
Yeah.
The first one, and that was literally 13 years ago because obviously I did it. And so I've been waiting 13 years for this game to finally come out.
Dude,
and
I almost got the "it's not a lake, it's an ocean" line like tattooed so many times. Like it's been it infuriates me. And my girlfriend still hasn't finished Alan Wake 2. But that's one thing we talk about, which no spoilers, but I'm just like she can't get over that ending. I'm like, this is either gonna help or make it worse, but that is acknowledged. Don't worry about it. It's there, but no, the DLCs I've heard only good things about. Only good things.
To put it lightly, for us being creators, it's a very hard balance of like, do I want to play this game for myself or do I want to try and share it, for stream and like make content? Yeah. Alan Wake 2 is the only game probably in the past 5 or so years where I strictly played it off stream and just embraced myself into the atmosphere. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I absolutely adore it. It's such a masterpiece.
It's hard with the stop and go of like choosing what you're like streaming and sharing to, and then being able to like sink in. It's different to be able to like, I lost a whole day of my life playing video games for 14 hours and then I'm streaming for 14 hours. It's completely different energy.
Right.
But with games like that, like, yeah, like if Last of Us 3 like were to drop, that would be something I do by myself because it's so important to me. Like when Bioshock 4 ever gets announced and comes out, like, no, Borderlands 4, of course, streamed. Like that's what that is, right?
Right.
But like you gotta. But then something like Bioshock that I've been waiting literal decade plus for. That feels like something I want to experience like solo, and it's really weird to have that kind of like intimacy with a game. But like I love Portal. I don't think if they dropped a Portal 3 that would be one I do by myself, even though Portal's like such a part of my DNA. But yeah, there's so many games like that. The new Until Dawn remake, I don't think I'm streaming at first. Like I definitely want to stream it, but Until Dawn is such a special game for me that it's just kind of like I kind of want to just play it in one sitting the moment it drops and be able to have that.
Even that one's a little hard though because it's the choices matter. So it's a lot of fun, watching the streamer make the decisions and stuff like that. So that one's a tough sell to if you want to play like with yourself or
it is
with people watching. But
it's such a hard one for me with those because like they're such a part of my friend group. Like it was the first thing that my girlfriend and I like cosplayed together years and years and years ago. And us and our two best friends, we cosplayed for one Halloween, and it used to be every single Halloween we would just replay Until Dawn. And it was such a thing. And then it became that with the Dark Pictures games. And now that it's the movie and the remake, I'm just like, okay, but like I want to like see every little thing that's different. But like one of my streamer friends, like we met through Until Dawn, and it's like our life, and we've had a whole podcast just talking about Until Dawn before where it's just like, no, like let's dissect this, and we're rabid for it. I want to play it, but I'm also just like, I want to do the thing where I can pause and freak out about something for a while. And while it's fun for stream, it's also like, okay, well, do people care about this tiny little thing changes where I'm sitting here screaming like, you don't understand, there's a sun in the game now, there's a sun in the sky, the physics, like this matter, and like no one cares what I'm yelling about. So it's always a line. But Alan Wake, I can't imagine doing part 2 on stream the first time.
Yeah, same. I mean, it's already bad enough because you don't even know what's happening. So
you have no idea what's happening at
so
all.
You have to deal with that, and then talking to chat if you still want to be interactive, and then also giving your genuine reactions of like how you're just feeling in the moment, like
explaining Alan Wake 1 to the people who don't know Alan Wake because it was a very niche game that the part 2 blew up, which I love. But like then when you're figuring out the mechanics of the game, like first time like trying to figure out like Saga's Mind Palace kind of thing, I was like, I'm missing something? No, I'm doing it right. Like it's a lot of that second guessing versus just, here are the mechanics. But then by the time I'm like in the subways, I'm sitting here like lost for a minute going like, oh my God, what the fuck is happening? I'm so confused. Wait, we're now in a cutscene? No, it's not a cutscene. No, it is a cutscene. Like it's just, it's
and then,
such a ride.
Typically you have somebody in the background screaming at you in chat to go left. It's over here. You missed it. Go up. There's the ladder right there.
On the delay, which is my favorite. When I did Last of Us, when they did the PC port on stream, it was a lot of that where I'd be like, if I'm on autopilot, I'm totally fine in games. The moment I pay attention to where I'm going, if I'm like, oh right, you're playing a game, focus, I suddenly cannot. Directions go out the window. Like I'm like, I don't remember which way is the direction, even if the layout on the map is very clear. Like I cannot do it. And so when people will be like, oh no, you need to go back to that door, I'm like, which door? I saw this. How delayed is this message? Let me go. Like I'm operating on a delay. Hold on. And it was just such a nightmare of trying to know the back. Like please backseat me when I'm lost. But also like we got a delay here, so like specifically what color door, which door, what are we talking about here?
Yeah. It's always fun. You're 5 seconds behind, you see left, right, and you're just like, oh Jesus, this is not working.
No, literally one time I was in Borderlands 3, like stuck on something, and my girlfriend was getting frustrated in chat, and I thought they were at work and they weren't, but they're getting frustrated in chat because I was getting lost in like electricity or something like that. And finally I just see Rogue Telepath has joined your struggle. And I'm like, okay, this is easier. This is easier.
You know it's rough when they just join to do it for you.
Literally just like, shut the fuck up. It's fine.
That's something. Back on, because I mean, I feel like this is a good time for this, bringing up the Borderlands movie and the songs and the music and such.
Oh God, okay.
Touching on 3 things. From what transitioning from that with the transition.
Yeah.
That I want to ask you, what is a game or like a song that makes you think of a game or vice versa just immediately? Like I don't know, like for example, I don't know how Get Low or 20 Folks from TI from like Need for Speed Underground. You know what I mean? Like,
hell yeah.
Was for you. So what immediately just like clicks and hits where you're just like,
Okay, well, I have to give a Borderlands answer, and I hate that for first one, but Kiss the Sky. Kiss the Sky is the opening song in the credits for Tales from the Borderlands.
Okay.
Fantastic.
I mean, Tales. I almost said New Tales. Good lord.
Yeah. No. From the original Tales from the Borderlands.
Yeah. First Tales, the good one.
Yeah.
The much more passion one. Yeah. No, that's peak right there.
It's the shot of Reese like losing the shoe and his like perfectly like designed Hyperion sock and like the swell of that music, and it's just, it is so well done. I love it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have like a video game song playlist, and it's like the Portal and credit songs, you know, things like that. But if I go, okay, what's not Borderlands, and the like first things come to mind, Will the Circle be Unbroken from, you know, definitely BioShock Infinite, Only You, Far Cry 5, and Tricky.
I never played 5.
You've never played 5?
I played 3 and I was set.
That's fair.
Voss was all I needed, and
that's fair.
Like, were you about to say Tricky from SSX Tricky?
Yeah, Tricky from
absolute peak.
It's tricky to rock over like, every time.
I played that game so much.
I am competitive as fuck at that game. Like, bar none. I am a competitive asshole at that game.
So, I mean, this is where memories get unlocked, because we had a Scholastic Book Fair, which immediately we're old.
No, but they're so good. There was nothing like a Scholastic Book Fair. Are those still around? I hope so.
I mean, probably not. I mean, I hope.
People don't read books anymore.
We had a Scholastic Book Fair, and I bought a PS2 cheat codes book. So it was a little mini PS2 cheat codes book, and SSX Tricky was in there. GTA 3 was in there. Just a bunch of games, and oh my God, I played that game to death. It was
fucking amazing. I still have my PS2, 3, 4, and 5 in my apartment, because I have certain games that like weren't cross compatible and everything that I just like I need. SSX Tricky, and SSX 3 are like the reason I keep that, and Revenge of the Sith are definitely like reasons. But Simpsons Hit and Run too, my baby.
Yeah.
But that's why I have my PS2.
Needs to be remastered.
It does.
If a game needs to be either a sequel or remaster, hit and run is like
top
that's
of
it.
the list. Fantastic.
Like, what's going on here? Like,
fantastic.
That's just money on the table.
Perfect.
What's going on here?
Pitch perfect game. But yeah, no, SSX was one. I have a photo of me as a child I was like at my dad's condo at the time, and he had friends over and we were playing, and it's me just like, I don't know, 8 years old or something like that, like been over, tongue out, just like focused as fuck on this game, and his friend just getting so pissed because I'm smoking him every time, and I like literally he like rage cried and left after a point because he could not beat me in this game, and I'm just like, yes, like it was just instant.
And that's where it started.
It's the egg crack moment when I go back. Exactly. But no, it's that game, my God, so good.
Even that era, I mean, games were just more like, especially sports games, just, I mean, for me,
the Tony Hawk games, holy shit.
Yeah, Tony Hawk, absolutely. They had, fun, you could play Bigfoot, like random cameos of actual people, and then like superheroes. For me, like NBA Street Volume 2, NFL Blitz, like for more of the sports, but no,
even then they had the NCAA games, because they had the licensing. They could do that at the point. So we had like the college football on like Sega Genesis. I remember where I could do like NCAA football with the SEC, and I was like, this is amazing. This is
And
you had the little shitty people in the stands that were just like little like squares, and it was just perfect. But now, dude, Gran Turismo, early Gran Turismo, oh my God, yeah.
I was more Need for Speed and Burnout for
Hell
me.
Yeah.
Like Burnout Paradise and such. Well, that may have been 360, but for PS2.
Fantastic. All great options, honestly.
Speeds, like Most Wanted.
Games are
and
so
all
good.
that. So it's a different level. Like, I don't know. Is this nostalgia or
we're millennials, so it very well could be nostalgia, but also I stand by it. So it's like that weird
but a lot of these games are either getting remastered / just aren't able to be made because of the monopoly of like EA just milking, 2K. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, literally. I hate my bitterness, but at the Summer Game Fest when it was like 2K is gonna announce like the next of their biggest iteration, like what should be like NBA 2K, like it just like that we know is already coming out, like just something that was 100% what they already milk, because it's I forget that we have all these different branches of sports games because they're just always out. It's like I can't remember the last time I was excited for one of them, and I used to be excited for them, and now it's just everywhere, and I don't know what's different about it other than maybe they're trying to overcomplicate them. Like you have like the locker rooms and stuff now and all these like side things versus just like you're playing football, you're playing the season. Like,
right. I mean, but even then, you look back, like I said, the games then just had more charm and like fun to them. Like at the end of the day,
and, I mean,
I guess microtransactions would be the word that you could easily blame. Of like they're just trying to milk that with like all the different like card packs or like the seasonal whatevers and blah blah blah. But
which is fair at a point, like not the microtransactions being fair, but the that being some of the drawback of it. But I feel like so much of it is tied up in graphics too, where I feel like the more I say this as someone who genuinely is blown away by like Alan Wake graphics and Till Dawn graphics, Aquari, things like that, where I'm like, oh my God, like this is beautiful. I'm going to look at it. Cyberpunk. It's fucking phenomenal. This is a gorgeous game. And I do get really excited about that kind of stuff. But like this obsession where every game has to look super realistic and like good in this likeness. And I feel like some games will then sacrifice any charm to it to be like just this hyper realistic whatever. And that's how I feel like any sports game I've picked up the past couple of years. I've just been like, I feel like this is just trying so much to be the experience of doing this rather than just like kind of the absurdity of doing this on a video game.
Right. No, I can see that.
Yeah.
I mean,
it just
it's all developer / publisher, because for example, Hellblade 2 came out recently.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of, I won't say backlash, but just negative tones because they made a conscious decision, which in this case I'm talking about, they made it like widescreen and stuff, and you couldn't change it. Like that was their intended vision. The game's gorgeous and all that, but it's just like, you're cutting away accessibility options for players to where they can't even experience your title, like because of motion blur that you can't turn off or like whatever the case too,
And that's the thing. I don't feel this with old games, which is why I'm like, what are we doing in new games? Or is this something, I don't know, do I need to go to E&D for? But the older I get, the more motion sick I get. And it used to never be a problem for me. And I only find it in like more modern games. Like the older games that I feel like would be like, hey, disable this like kind of like camera shake or whatever. No, they don't bother me. But like even like Wonderlands and stuff, I'll just sometimes be like, okay, suddenly I can't play this right now. And it's really... I don't know. It's like something with like either depth of field or just like our camera controls or whatever it is. Because even the games that feel more like camera unlock kind of stuff, I don't know. I just noticed it's definitely more modern games that have that feel for me.
My first assumption would be just the fact that frame rates are higher now. Hertz are higher now, so like maybe that could tie into it. You're actually playing at 144 compared to like 30 or 60.
Just everything needs to be locked at 30, obviously. 22 from
I'm not on that hill.
I was playing Overwatch last night, and I literally, because I'm trash, and we loaded into a game, and my tank immediately was like, I'm a one-trick ball locked at 22 frames right now. Let's go. And I'm like, okay, this is gonna go great. And of course, they were like 0-6 at a point. I was just like, yep, that sounds like a ball at 20 FPS. This is great.
I mean, we can get that conversation could be back and forth. There's so many, Twitter posts of 30 FPS versus 60 and such, and it can drastically matter based on how the flow of the game feels.
Yeah.
Like if a game is very slow paced, then you could probably get away with 30. But if you're playing like a shooter or anything, like it is just that extra 30 frames is completely 180 from just the flow of the game and how it feels.
Yeah, I didn't really notice it because I played PlayStation for so long. Like I only got a PC a couple of years ago, and so I was just locked in whatever my PlayStation could do. So I didn't really play around with anything ever. And so when I hopped to PC, specifically with Borderlands 2, I remember like toggling frame rate, and I went back once because I don't know, one of the invisible wall, unlimited frame rate things where I'm like, okay, let me like bring this back down. I forgot to turn it back up, and I was like, holy shit, this actually makes what game am I playing right now? Like it truly threw me off that it does make that much of a difference.
It also helps too with the optimization. Like going from Borderlands 2 to 3 for me is night and day. Like,
well, yeah,
I think where Borderlands 3 ended, I think is in a much better state. But how Borderlands 3 like feels for me personally compared to 2, I feel like it's way more unoptimized and sluggish.
3 has a lot of memory leak for sure.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, like it's like even if you like do the quick save quit trying to do stuff like that, like the memory leak is just fucking awful. But I do think the gameplay wise is way smoother. I just think it runs so unnecessarily hot, like trying to play it on a laptop before, things like that. I'm shocked they ported it for Switch. Honestly, that's impressive as fuck. Because
I cannot imagine what that looks like on the Switch. I haven't seen it.
I have it. I got it day of. I have it because I have a problem. I've bought Borderlands 3 too many times on too many platforms. And it looks like a PS3 game a little bit.
Okay.
But it's not bad. Like it runs fine. It's just like the aiming on Switch anyway for stuff is always like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like why am I playing a shooter on a Switch? But yeah, it runs surprisingly well. It's just very it loses a good chunk of detail.
Yeah, which is understandable. Yeah,
which is it's a fucking Switch. It like but the fact it runs like you can do raid boss and shit on there. I'm like, really? Like I'm able to like do a loot explosion right now and this is fine. Like
yeah. For sure.
It's impressive.
Is that your most purchased game?
No. On it.
Something worse.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, it's in a game I played a lot. Like literally, like I think objectively, it may be I would want to say okay. I don't want to say yes, it's probably Borderlands of like buying a bunch of different collections, stuff like that, but I know the truth. It's either Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets on PS2 because I've lost and broken that disc so many times and I used to play it every Christmas, or Uno because I played Uno like once. I played Uno like once, but I bought it once before it was on Steam on like Uplay or whatever when like friends, like long distance friends want to play it, and I did, and then I couldn't find the login for it one day, and I was like, okay, well where the fuck is it? So then I bought it, I think on Epic, and then I go back over on Steam. I'm like, it's on Steam, I don't own it. Let me just go and buy it because these friends want to play it, and then we never played it there, and then I bought it again on PlayStation when I was like, oh, it's on sale. Let me just grab it, and it's just.
Out of all the things, that is it's such a peak answer.
It's just so dumb. I've literally played it, I think, once, and it was in like 2016, 2017, and I keep buying it. I don't know why.
Okay, so to be clear, you've purchased this multiple times, and you never played it post-purchase on any of these except once.
Yeah, okay. I played it when I was on Uplay once, and I have no idea where the other ones I bought it. And I'll go through my email because I swear to God it's there. But I've purchased this on every platform I've ever had, and multiple on PC. But yeah.
There's so many just ways around this. You can just play tabletop sim.
I know, which I own.
For that. Like,
I own it.
Like,
it's so
many outcomes here. That's incredible.
It's just cheap enough that it's one of those things where it's like, just fucking buy it, like make it easy, and then just it never happens. So I try. It's bad.
The publishers just see this same just speaking line. Like this is their fourth purchase. What is going on here?
I thank God every day that Steam has that. This is already in your library thing. Because the amount of games I would have just like ADHD repurchased because my library is so big would have been way too many. It's so good. Okay, what about you? Is it better than Uno?
It's no, technically not better than Uno because that's just so out of left field. And again, it makes it better that you haven't even played it after you purchased it. So that's just. You know, the peak pinnacle of burning money.
7 years. 7 years of rebuying Uno.
And for me, this is pre-Blizzard shenanigans and stinkiness, but Diablo 3 is probably my most played game, or close to. And so, it came out on console, which I was their first console release, so I got it on 360, and then they came out with like the Xbox One PS4 editions. I got them for both of those. And then I finally got a PC, so I played it on that. Then it finally came out for the Switch, so I literally purchased it for every possible platform.
No, I feel that.
Diablo 3 and Borderlands 2 on everything up until I don't have it on the Switch, but everything else I have.
I have it on the Switch. I've not played it on the Switch, but I have it on the Switch.
Yeah. So
I kept getting gifted 3.
What's that?
I keep getting gifted Borderlands 3 by like like people's parents or something, if they don't know what to get me, they're like, here's, I know you like Borderlands, here's a PlayStation copy of Borderlands 3. And I'm like, cool.
I guess giveaway. I don't.
I know. I have multiple discs of this on PlayStation that I have not purchased that are just been given to me by non-affiliated people who just are trying to do a good thing. And I'm like, I love this. I appreciate it. I have no idea what the fuck to do with this again.
Wait till you hear the family wants to play Uno, and then you're gonna see a real shambles.
Honestly, yeah. Honestly, yeah. It's just I need one more platform to buy it on. I need to go get like a GameCube or something. Like find something out of left field.
Well,
for
mobile
original.
would be your answer.
Mobile,
you could probably get it on mobile.
I could probably get it on mobile. I should look into that. I feel like I need to complete it, but at the same time, why the fuck?
I mean, at this point, that question is asked for every situation you've been in. So.
It really is. It really is. It's the peak burning money is the correct response to that.
There's like stuff.
There's a Steam like class action lawsuit kind of thing. I keep getting like ads and emails for, and it's just like Steam overcharging, blah blah blah, get your free money kind of thing. So I filled it out ages ago, and they're still like in litigation, doing stuff, settling, whatever. But it made you go back through 2015 and enter how much money you spent on Steam, and I regret doing that. I regret doing that.
You be filling it out or spending money in 2015?
It's just feeling. I regret having to go and look at my history from 2015 onward.
Well, let's break this down. What were you doing then? Let's break down some of that history. What's
the 2015? I was still on PlayStation mostly, but I had a Steam. And the thing that saves me here is that games like The Sims aren't on Steam. So a lot of the stuff that also may be a frequently purchased game. But it's fine. I purchase an expansion pack and then forget about it and never play it. But I have it now because I wanted it. 2015 was mostly me like gifting stuff, or then things like Life is Strange and like 2016 and going down that rabbit hole. So I had plenty of just like one-off purchases, or like, hey, here's like a $40 game that I may want to play at one point, or little games people recommended. And then it just becomes very apparent when I start becoming a digital hoarder. And it just just escalates very rapidly. And I'm like, I was making no money back then. I'm still not anymore. It costs a living, but just insane. And when I look back, I'm like, I have how many Steam games do I have? It's like 300 something. And I remember buying maybe 50 of those. So
you're not the spokesperson for financial decisions. That's what
I'm a triple Taurus and I have ADHD. Like there is no. Here's the thing: if it's like responsible of like other people, but yes, absolutely. I'm like, here you go. I've had to run so many different like in my day job, like the marketing and like social for all these like financial things or big brands, something like that. So I'm like, I can tap into that. When it comes to myself, no, the amount of money I've lost by being ADHD is insurmountable. Insurmountable. Like I will just lose something, buy it, replace it, and then find it 2 days later.
I think it's just baked into the gamer DNA. I mean, it's the standard case of you can take the Star Wars meme of where it's just like, oh, Steam summer sale, and they're like, but you're gonna play these games, right? Right.
Me with PlayStation, dude. I pay for the PlayStation like Plus kind of like thing to be able to do multi whatever, but I pay for the highest one because my god, the amount of free games I've gotten from the monthly free games, and you have it as long as you have Plus. But I'm no longer playing multiplayer on PlayStation, because I'm on my PC all the time, so I don't technically need it. But then if I ever turn it on to like go back to Dead by Daylight or like something like that, I'm like, no, like keep it. But I also lose like 200, 300 games. Like I have hundreds of games from this free catalog that I'm just like,
right.
Will I ever play it? I don't know. I don't care. I'm buying it. And because it's free, it's free. And now I have 400 more games I haven't played that I'm never going to play that I'm trusting will just be on this cloud.
It just feels good, right? Like,
it does.
Oh, look, sweet. Free stuff.
Little dopamine.
Kind of, not really.
Yeah, it's like I am paying for it, but I'm not really. So when they add something random that I already own, but then it's the monthly game, I want to go ahead and claim it. Because why wouldn't I claim it? It's just like you're just leaving money on the table then.
Yeah. And then
yeah, it's bad. But again, I don't think any cosplayer is a good, or gamer honestly, but any cosplayer is a good indicator of how to best spend your money, because a lot of money goes into that.
I won't say luckily. I love and respect the hell out of anyone who cosplays, because that is just an art of its own. I cannot imagine the time and effort and money going into make a costume, or just especially. I feel like because I especially listened to a few episodes of yours, I most likely have something. I am either ADHD or something. I've never
Oh,
been diagnosed to know something's there.
I
And
100% gas literally when I got diagnosed.
yeah.
He like DM'd about it. I'm like, yeah, baby, get those meds. It's just the hyperfixation
But
hits. The
I can
hyperfixation hits.
imagine because I do a lot of music and
Yeah.
to me, I guess that'd be my closest comparison of like trying to one-to-one, like if you're trying to create, a handsome Jack cosplay and actually trying to make sure
Yeah.
it's down to like the actual threading of making sure this looks as close as the official thing as possible,
Here, yeah. So I say this all the time. I love when other cosplayers take liberties with their cosplays and like make them their own thing, improve upon like the canon designs and or mash them with something. I think it's the coolest thing ever. People pull it off. I never look at someone else's cosplay. I'm like, that's not accurate. Like whatever, unless they're like
Right.
jerking themselves off about being accurate. And I'm like, well, let me kind of thing. But if it's like, if it's truly a just a cosplay, I think it's so fucking cool the liberties people take with it. Me, however, get no dopamine if I'm not exact, and I hate it. Like I've literally been like, do I need to get like chin filler for like it's just
but that's what I mean, like I
bad.
get that, I understand it, I can see where you're coming from with doing that because that's not I guess the point, but I don't know, I would never be able to jump into that field for that reason.
I think it's the actor in me a little bit of it too. So it's like the oh, I get to like do a thing and like be in like I wanted to feel like I'm in like a cosplay, not a costume. I wanted to feel like I am like this is like the officially sanctioned outfit for this character for me.
Right.
Kind of thing, and embody that. And it's hard when I'm sitting there then like even just like simple ones like Life is Strange ones. I'll like be in a Max cosplay and be sitting there and like the cut of my shirt is like slightly wrong, or like I have like a t-shirt on instead of like a baby doll t-shirt or something like that, and I'm just like like I just can't handle it. And I'm like, why? Literally no one has ever walked up to me and been like, that's like the wrong, like Jack has pockets. Like one of Jack's pants have like these cargo pockets on the side of them. And I keep going, I'm going to like sew these into it. But it's like, I use like a jean material to like make the pants, but I need to remake the pants anyway. But then like these pockets are so big that I just need to like, I need to make external pockets and like sew them on and be fine. And it's the thing that I keep just like not doing because I'm working on Athena, a bunch of other stuff. Like it's just not worth it. Like Jack looks fine.
Right.
But every single time I have to put on these pants. Every single time. I hate it.
But see, I get it. I think what you said is perfect. Is you're cosplaying. It's not a costume. Like I feel like that there is a distinction there. Like
it's a cosplay.
Yeah, you're not just throwing on a mask that people are like, oh, that's clearly this thing, or like even though it's that's Michael Myers. That's what like this is. You are embodying this character, especially if you want to also act like them. Like
yeah,
so it
like
makes sense to be as one-to-one as possible. So I get you.
It's just where the happy juice comes from, and if it's not there, like I talked about this before, but like I was staring at his face. I never pull up a reference anymore when I do Jack's makeup. I do for like Liz and all these like feminine cosplays because I'm always just like trying to fix where I fucked up their makeup last time. But Jax, I have it pretty down of just like, okay, like make my face look masculine, do this mask. I need to figure out where the pieces are sitting today because my face shape, I swear, changes. And then I need to figure out how the wig's going to sit, whatever, right? And so one day I pulled up a photo of him and just was like zooming in and be like, okay, like where do I put like the scratches though normally because I feel like something is wrong and I'm missing something. And I noticed this fucker has eye clasp like right in the corner of his eye, and I about had a meltdown because I was like, how long have I been doing this without these? I'm like, no one literally I stare at this man's face all the time.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice that. But then I'm staring at the thing behind me and I like see it. I like 100%. I'm like, why wasn't that the first thing I noticed? Why is this not something that I've been doing this whole time? It's been like a year of this. You've been in public and haven't done that. Like, and no one cares. No one has ever been like, oh, cool, corner eye clasp. No one gives a fuck. It's just
I think if there's enough detail elsewhere, it's fine to not fine for you, but for the average viewer or
no,
seer,
it's true. My current one is way more screen accurate than my previous one. Like my like current jacket versus previous jacket, night and day difference. But no one knew that looking at the previous stuff. They were like, oh my God, this is a perfect jacket. And I knew it wasn't. And I was like, no, I need to redo it before I go to a con where Damien's at because I'm not going to be seen in the wrong jacket. Like, this isn't even the right cut of blazer. Like,
who do you think I am?
Like, I am the problem. Like, this isn't helping anything. This is why people think we're crazy, and we are. But it truly is a nightmare what I do to myself for the amount of like materials I'll buy for it to just sit here. Like I've had the base of a lady fist prop that I was going to make forever ago that's just been sitting in this filing cabinet over there, and then I've had a half finished Maya for like 2 years because I'm doing like the Pain Deer Christmas Maya. But then every time I'm like, I don't want to take this to WinterCon. I'm not going to worry about it, or I want the snowflakes to be different. But also, her pants don't defy. Like it just her pants are dumb. Her pants are fucking dumb, and I cannot figure out how I want to do them. And then you can't see her shoes well in BL2, like the way they do, like the HUD. Like you don't really have a good view of it. So I have all these like weird screenshots of me trying to tilt the camera to get just the right view of her boot, and I'm like, well, it's not right, so I don't know what to do. So my brain says I can't do it now.
Yeah,
it's just so dumb.
When you started cosplaying, we'll pick Jack in this case. Did you plan on embodying the character or just looking like him? Or if you didn't initially, when you started doing that?
I mean, my first cosplay ever was Lois Lane, and shortly after Dana Scully, I was like very young, so it was probably more like costume than cosplay kind of thing. But it was very much for the embodiment of it, as like a little neurodivergent kid being like, this is brain scratch. I like this. Mm-hmm. And so it was less so like, I never thought with Jack specifically, like I was going to like be Jack. It was like a fun, like, hey, let's make cosplays for Halloween one year. Cause we were all obsessed with Tales and we were like, let's do this. And then it just became more and more. And the first time I put on Jack for like just a makeup test, like I had the pieces together, was figuring it out, and wasn't going to commit to the full thing, but wanted to just like see how it looked. Because Borderlands cosplays, when you do the foam wig especially, look very wrong until your makeup's done. Like it looks bad. You cannot figure out if the piece is done or not until you see it all together, because it has such that 2D effect.
Right.
And so I just did a quick makeup test one night as Jack when I got in like just vaguely Jonas mask and whatever. And I picked up a mug and I realized at the time I still have a selfie of this because I was sending it to Telepath, but it was a mug that was a gift unintentionally from my girlfriend's mom's like niece kind of thing. Had no idea what to get us on Christmas, and as he's really like, love you, Allie, but tacky fucking mugs, right? And the one I picked up just has a unicorn on it that's like kind of like gemstone-y, and it just says, bitch, I'm fabulous. And I picked it up, looked in the mirror, took a selfie, sent it, and like with the way my smirk was in it or like whatever, and I just sent it, and I was like, oh my god, that feels like Jack. Oh my god,
yeah, this
is Jack. Like I can do this. And so the first time I like recorded anything with him, it just came so naturally. I was like, am I a sociopath? Do I need to like be concerned about this? Why is this man living in my head? And like now it's just like I will literally like someone will say something and I just have this look in my face, and my girlfriend will be like, Jack? I'm like, yeah, because I've just like a Jack comment like pop in my head. Like it's just like his writing software just in my brain, just like it's spitting out. And so it just became very natural with most of the characters. Like with like my She-Ra cosplay, it wasn't really like I want to embody it, but like when little kids run up to you, it's so fucking fun, and it's just like part of it, you know, like walking around like Catcher and Adora, like the amount of little kids who will run up to us and just be like in awe, and that's fun to embody. Jack, there's no choice. I have to embody. I the moment I start doing the makeup, it's such a whole process. By the time you're done and in either of the bastards, like, because they cosplay Tyrene, I cosplay Jack, they also do Nisha, but like, especially when we're Ty and Jack, the moment they are on, we are just absolute bastards. There is no choice in the matter. And I love it.
At that point, especially in the environment you're in. You know,
oh yeah, because like you walk out and people
if you're
are
waiting
in
a Taco Bell line.
I have a video of me sitting outside of a Yard House at like Anime Pasadena or something when we're like waiting at a table, because I was just really needing carbs and it had been a long day, and you know we were about to like go like harass like Damien and like stuff like that, but we're just around, and it was like prom season or whatever for people, and so all these people are just like in this nice formal wear, and we're sitting outside in these Borderlands cosplays just like looking dead to the world because we have no energy left. Trying to be like, well, do we film a TikTok right now? And it's so weird having to walk around in public, like taking an Uber in massive cosplays like that is always like, hi, yeah, you is this my car? Okay, thank you so much. And I'm like in Handsome Jack. It like doesn't fucking work. But it's so fun. It's easy in them or like any type of villain that cosplaying, like if I'm doing Lady D or something like that, because the way people look at you when they spot and recognize who you are, they're trying to place it feeds absolutely into that kind of like, hello, I have a presence. Right. You are obsessed with me, and I will make fun of you for it. Like it's just instant, and it's fantastic. But
yeah, I can't imagine.
I encourage everyone to do it at least like once if they're ever just like that'd be fun. Like do an easier one, do like like just Borderlands ones. Like Psychos are really easy, but like any video game, like it's so fun to see the excitement around, the more what you feel like is a more like niche game. Like when we were walking around with BioShock at a really tiny con out here, people were just like, Bioshock in 2023, like, oh my god, like, wait, hold on, look at my tattoo. Like, people want to like sprint up, and even in like the ones that like don't really get attention, like when I'm in Ellie from Last of Us, it doesn't really get a lot of attention ever, so it's usually my more like chill day. But I'll still have like, I've had like Naughty Dog devs come up and, you know, get really excited like right before the show comes out and things. But I'll have women run over who like have the Ellie tattoo who just like want to cry to me about Ellie. And it's like so random and things like that. But it's so fun to then just like find those people who you feel like get it. Because that's the thing. No one has to come and be like, hey, how into this are you? They just assume you love it. And so even walking around like a Persona 5 cosplay, like I had people come up and just like want to gush about how that game got them into this. It got them through all the, and then it just such an organic way to like see people get excited about something you love. And there's nothing like it for me because it's so different from like walking up to random people and trying to engage in conversation versus like you kind of have an intro when you're in cosplay if you're open to talking to people, you know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah, I can't even imagine who I'd attempt to even pick, like, because I feel like a part of me would be like, okay, pick this that I feel like I could pull it off, but a part of me is also like I'd kind of want to pick somebody niche. Yeah, that I truly resonate with or just like love that could be popular, but you know, it's I don't know, but that's a world I don't know if I could jump in.
Well, so luckily California has many opportunities to get into it because it's great. I laugh all the time because being an actor, I've definitely left scenes and sets in various states of disarray, and with cosplay, it's always like. If we're like we were leaving anime no it was LA Comic-Con I think a couple years ago, and we were just like overheating as fuck, could not handle it, like done with this, wanted to rip out the contacts and you know the 18 layers because Borderlands characters have so many belts and you're just like stuck and like especially Jack, you're in a binder and everything, and we're just like half stripping in a parking garage in like downtown LA and just like covered in this like half cell shaded makeup and like this weird mask on your face, like kind of scrubbing it off but not really, and you go through drive-thrus and no one blinks at all because it's LA, it's whatever. But the most like egregious one was I was filming a horror movie at this one point, and it would have been like one of my like I'm beating someone to death with like a crowbar kind of scene, and so I'm covered in like Evil Dead kind of blood, like just like down the face, like every corner, like covered in it, and people were stuck in the set shower, so I was like, I'll just drive home, I'm tired. I was like up in the Palisades and I just like, let me just get home, it'll be fine. And I was like, oh, I need gas, and I like stopped and I was like, I changed out of all the bloody clothes because it was set clothes, but I'm just in my normal like workout clothes, kind of like go to set, covered head to toe, hair caked in this fake blood. And I was like, what are the odds right now if I get out of this car and get gas, because I think I need it before I get home, that either no one says anything at all because this is just LA and no one gives a fuck, or I cannot leave the gas station. Like, it's not gonna get immediately. No, literally, it's like definitely one or the other. It's like, who's this little bitch getting out of the car? Like, okay, fine. And so cosplay is always like that really weird like in between where, you know, you walk in the hotel room at a con, immediately you're like half taking it off and you're like, fuck, I forgot to like film something, and then you're just like, whatever, like it's fine. And so it's just various states of, you know, how much do you want to commit to it. But I've yet to find someone who I've encouraged to try even just like a low stakes cosplay for themselves who regretted doing it. Like, I think it's just a way to like license yourself to have fun in a way that like full circle, like GTRP kind of stuff, where people who wouldn't necessarily be into like that kind of immersion allow themselves to do that in like an adult environment and it just be not weird and just be celebrating something you like. There's nothing like it. There really isn't.
Let's back this up. You filmed a movie?
Oh yeah, I'm in SAG. I'm in SAG, yeah.
Okay, where are we able to see these?
No.
No,
absolutely not.
No, I think people want to know.
No, they don't. Listen, I have. If he's listening, he knows who it is. There is someone who I have an agreement with that he will see one of the most embarrassing clips I have from a movie that is out that I've kind of purged from the internet, like whatever. And I owe that to him, and I don't think I'm ready to share that with the world. I don't.
I think otherwise. I think everyone needs. Well, first off, how many have you done?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, so many shitty movies that I've never even seen because it's like between shorts. Like I was in like a Stephen King short film I never ended up seeing at the time because it just was on a short film circuit, and then it probably landed like Shudder somewhere. But a lot of like when you're moving out here, it's a lot of like low budget horrors. You do a lot of. Mm-hmm. There's nothing I'm like, yes, this is my baby. This is what I'm proud of. That's actually out. So everything Shudder. Is in development now.
So I need to just skim Shudder.
No, I think you mind your fucking business, David. It's fine. No, I just. Listen, it's fine. It's fine. I have an IMDb page that is out there. It's fine. You can look at my headshots and be like, oh my God, you should cast her in something. Be like, yeah, you should. It's amazing. And that's about it. That's about it.
So is there anything you're proud of?
There is. It's just not been released yet because then COVID fucked up everything. And so it's stuck in reshoot hell forever for
I've always I like, especially doing RP, which granted it's usually off the cuff improv to an extent. I'm like, could I act or not? And I always think about what would happen if I actually, because to me, I feel like I would kind of just be naturally passionate. Like I would just try and respond the way I feel like I would respond. Of course, but acting, you need to do what they want you to do. But
no, but that's the hard part that people don't like. That's why people go to acting classes, figuring out how they authentically would respond in that situation and like having it. So that's the building block there. Like it's, if you don't have that, if you don't have a point of view with it, you're never going to get to the point where you need to take direction because you're not bringing anything to that character at that point. I find if people get really immersed in like tabletop RPs or any type of like RP where they are like committing to those characters, they would fucking love acting, especially theater, because like theater acting is very, less focus on like the facial stuff because you're so far away from people normally that you can't have those like long beats. You can have a lot of, the body movements break away, that like there's just more time to sit in the moment. Camera work is like, so like you have to focus on like what you do in theater too, but like hitting your mark in this light. And it's a lot of teachers would be like, the less acting kind of the better, because you're not going to be like, oh, I'm frustrated, let me show it in my face. Like you trust that like that expression will be there without you needing to focus on the expression. Like you'll see it in your eyes. On stage, you can't really do that. And so you have more freedom to be like, how big is this reaction actually? How is not, depending on what kind of stuff you're in. And of course there's more nuance to that, but like it's a fun gateway to be like, oh, I get to just like make choices and see how they land in real time and have that energy of like the live room, which is what I feel like RP a lot of time is, because you are feeding off each other. Right. And a lot of times on like camera, you're talking to, a stand-in or, depending on like the close-up or like whatever, and you have to like do it out of order, kind of like a music video, versus theater, you're like building through the story.
Right.
I love it.
So how long have you been doing that then? Because you're at this point, you're just a jack of all lions, right? Like, I mean,
jack of all lions, master of none.
Yeah, you're cosplaying. I mean, streaming, working full time, acting,
writing. Like, yeah. So I've been. I
mean, you're the typical LA galley.
I am. I have a podcast, even more stereotypical.
Yeah. Like
we're hitting all the boxes. No, So I started. So I've been acting my whole life. I haven't been like formally acting until like the past like 10, 11 years or so. But it was a lot of the like what I know now was me and my neurodivergent best friend, like just improving the fuck out of everything. But like every day after school we would go and like it was like the most dramatic bullshit, like decade long story build of these like, RP like settings, but we would just like create these shows and these characters. And I swear to God, we both quote that as like our acting classes when we were young, because it would just be like we were like 7-year-olds like making fake bruises with like makeup at like sleepovers at like 11 p.m. and just like having these big emotional scenes and like all this stuff. It was so dramatic and it's so good. And
I mean, odds for the 7-year-old in you, but I mean, if that's who you are. That's what's up.
We had so much fun with it. It was literally like it would be the most bullshit like crossovers of stuff that we care about the time. It would be like none of it would actually be in the canon of whatever we're doing. It would become all of our own characters at a point. So it would just be like really like, hey, there was this car crash. Okay, so like say like they did all this, and we would do like beat by beat of everything. So nothing would be planned unless one of us has a secret plan, and it would just like go into this whole thing. But it was so seamless and so fun and so ridiculous, and we would have our funny scenes, but we were both like just like sluts for the angst of it, and so it was so much of just these like dramatic fucking scenes that it would be like every night we're like, hey, can we spend the night? Hey, can we spend the night? Hey, can we spend the night? And it would just be this extended like 3-day play of whatever emotional turmoil these characters were going through.
Did y'all record and like actually edit them up?
No, we thought about it like a little too late, but I was 13 when I moved from Tennessee, which is like where I grew up like with her. And so it was one of those things I feel like if I'd stayed through like middle school, high school, we absolutely would have. But it was just so like not what people did at the time, like flip videos, run around kind of stuff. And so it just would have been like people would have known about it and like, no, this was like our thing. But to this day, she's pregnant now with her first kid. Like she literally, like, we were full grown adults, and we will still text randomly and be like, I just kind of want to play. I kind of want to play HP, don't you? Like, don't. I'm like, what if you came out to visit and we just played HP for like a week? Like,
Yeah.
It's just the most sincere thing. And so did that a lot growing up. I was trying to write books and stuff when I was younger, and then I realized at some point it was just more like descriptive than it needed to be. And at some point I was like, okay, well, like, how are like movies written? Because maybe I'm saying it like a movie. And then I learned the screenplay format and wrote that, and I was like, oh, this is like my baby. Like this is it. And I write both now, but it's very much, that was where that really clicked for me. And then my parents just weren't into the whole arts thing. And so I was in like marching band, which you can do other extracurriculars, blah, blah, blah. But then I moved to Portland in 2013, and just full time was like, cool, this is what I want to do. What I've kind of been training to do. I did a couple of classes, like improv stuff in Atlanta. And for a couple years did stand up. And was just trying to figure out like where that vibe was. And then I actually did a production of Macbeth that then became like, oh, okay, this is where Brandon, yeah, no, you're correct. This is what you want. And moving to LA was never on my cards. It was always like, I want to go to New York. And then something just hit me. I remember I was on a plane back home, and I'd never been to California, and something just like lightning bolt hit me where I was like, your lease is up and you are moving to LA. Like that is what you're doing.
That's
and
incredible.
Yeah, I just fucking love it. So I've been SAG eligible for years and years and years, but I finally joined in 2020. And since that was, started COVID, then been sitting here ever since.
That's amazing. I mean, you have like, it sounds like, just like a very theatric, I guess, timeline, like
I'm dramatic. You can say I'm a dramatic bitch. It's
fine. No, I mean, I guess in more professional terms for you could say it that way. But it's also funny too, like, because you said you grew up around Tennessee.
Yeah, I was in Knoxville. Yeah.
I literally lived in Louisville most of my life.
Oh my god, so really? Fuck Louisville.
It's funny
Hilarious.
How close we actually both were then.
People used to drive up to your water park all the time. That was like the thing.
And same with, I mean, I had family in Tennessee down in like Kingsport.
Nice. Yeah, no, most of my family is still in like East Tennessee. I'm still in Atlanta, and then mom up in Sac right now. But yeah, a lot of it's still out there. But I lived in Tennessee until I was 13, and then I lived in Atlanta for like, till I was an adult, and then moved to the West Coast.
I'm more just like fascinated at just your timeline in general. You did stand up?
Yeah.
Like,
how do people always turn this in an interview on me? No.
I mean, we can flip it, but I mean, it's at this point, I mean, sure. I mean, I had some fun stuff, but like, this is like peak, I don't know. This is just peak fascination for me. These are very, what's the word I'm looking for here? These are very just eclectic. Like you need to have confidence and or I guess craziness, whatever one you prefer at this point, of like doing these very intensive
you need to be a narcissist.
Maybe that's what it is. I mean, maybe this is why you embody Jack so well. I don't know. It's
honestly maybe psychologists need to study it. No, I did stand up. It was not my strongest suit, but it was fun. I'm much more of the storyteller vibe than the rapid joke vibe. So it's harder to do smaller sets like that because you need to like build that, energy. And so I just didn't like committing to it a lot. And at one point it was like, I was fine at it. I joke with Chad a lot that like, okay, like dono incentive, we will make me redo one of my stand-up routines. Like we'll do something. But it's very, God, I hate myself. This is the most ego way to say this. At one point in my early 20s, I decided that I need to decide if I wanted to be a cast member on SNL or host SNL kind of future.
Okay. No, well, that's the thing is you have to believe in yourself in these.
You have to assume best case scenario and then build towards it. Like if I'm just like I believe people when they're like, oh no, I'm just like, I would just be happy to be a working actor. Like, yes, we'd all be happy to be working actors, but also like, what do you want to do? When you say that's your ultimate goal, no, you have an ultimate goal beyond that. But like, if that's the thing, like, it's great. Like, what's your dream role? You can't just be like, oh, just being like a barista in Modern Family would be great. Like, that's not where the line is. And some people are lifelong extras and they love doing that because they love being on set. But it's different. It's different from like, I want to role in something. And I think you're allowed to have passion projects. Yeah. And it's just two very different paths of like, am I being a comedian or am I someone who can do comedy? Right. And that was the kind of the easiest way for me to look at it when I was like, I can't invest 100% in both of these. And so what am I having more fun doing? And what do I like, when I think of the future, which one makes me happier? Like, and it was definitely the the hosting side of it versus
right. But I mean, it's impressive because a lot of people, especially in these environments for us gamers or whatever, like people always want to tap into more,
yeah.
and it's whether if they can or if they don't think they have the chops or want to attempt it. And how would they even begin starting that? I mean, it's a long process. So it's actually incredible hearing where you've been and where you are and what you've attempted. It's impressive to me. So it's just cool.
You just it's been the best friend of teaching me it's okay to fail at things.
Right. As it should. And that means because you can't grow if you don't at least try something and like how to get better at something.
It's one of those like bullshit self-help things, but also like I firmly believe it that like most people have a fear of success more at some point, like the fear of failure morphs into that because once you attain a certain level of success, you have to maintain that quality in your brain and then like grow past that. And then where does it go? And I find that's true in a lot of creative stuff where it's like you getting your own way. And
that's me right now.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. I get my own way about everything.
Just content in general. Dude, I have this fight all the time.
I've needed to redo my voiceover reel for so fucking long, and like bits of it have been out at like this editor, but I need to follow up with this other footage, and I just like keep not doing it. And I'm like, you just need to sit down and like prioritize it and do it. And in my brain, just like, no. And I'm like, literally, why? You can send it to people. You have people asking for it. You can send it to them. You can do that. Like there would be a path to send that, even if it did nothing. It would be like no harm of doing more right now. It just gives potential more opportunity. Unlike now, my brain's just like, no, I can't finish it right now. I'm like, why? Like, stop it. And we get in our own way. It's what creative people do.
I think I've found for myself, I'm at the level of like, I just need a manager. Yeah. Like, I feel like that's where it would be for me because I'm fine with just being the talent. Without being egotistic, like I'm fine with I enjoy live settings. I enjoy live interactions. I feel like that's where I shine the most. And
I'm begging for a manager.
Yeah. And then with the creative shift of like, it's harder to just stream. You need to branch out. Obviously, you don't want to put your eggs in one basket. But it's like I don't want to edit videos. I don't want to do this. I enjoy being the person who is the content and not the one making the content, if that makes sense.
No, it totally does. And there's so much in content creation having to like think of those ideas too and keep, it's a very never satiated cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Managers are great. A good manager is great.
Right. That, and you just need the funds because I mean, they push you for sponsorships. They guide you where you need to go.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay. I'm happy that I feel like I've accepted that. Obviously, I need to still do something about it, but like, I'm glad that I've managed to be like, okay, this is who I am. This is what I am.
Yeah.
Now, how do I actually make myself successful from doing the things I like? Yeah. Which it's very hard, especially with potentially ADHD brain or whatever it is that I may have. Like, I enjoy making music, for example, right? And I found a way to combine, having fun making music out of passion and then tying that into GTA RP, for example. So like I'm kind of combining the best of both worlds of doing all of these things in one. But then the next question is, okay, how do I market it? How do I actually grow from this? How do I, how do I get eyes on this? And it's never ending, but of course we need to get a real job. This is definitely
need a real job, but then me sitting here with my real job that takes all of my fucking time. That is like, I am an online marketer, SEO, social media kind of person. But it's impossible because then people are like, well, like, let me look at your Instagram. I'm like, no, because I don't apply that shit to my own shit because I have no time because I'm doing it for other people. And then I have to do all these other things. Like, it is so many jobs in one at any given point that even when you like know what to quote unquote do with it, you don't have the bandwidth to do it because that's why people hire people like me to do that for their thing. Right. And it's such a vicious cycle of once you're like, cool, I have the materials or I have the idea, or even if you are maintaining, like, I'm going to like produce the content for a while, it's really fucking hard to keep up.
It's hard not to beat yourself up over it either, though, because you want to pursue and make sure you do all the things you want to do, but then you're like, okay, but I also need to either make money or stay afloat here or get
sleep
more
or
here,
see people or do anything.
Or also IRL responsibilities so I don't get evicted. Like,
need to pay rent. It's wild, like honestly insane. But again, content, get a real job. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean we're not going to dive into the housing pieces into our current economy because that's we'll leave that one be.
Yeah, no, that one I jump scare stream sometimes talking about the cost of my rent and people are like, what? And I'm like, yep.
Yeah. It's, I mean, and I won't play devil's advocate here, but I will throw the, to be fair, I feel like a state like California does have more going for it than the average, which is why, it's like, oh hey, yeah, I live out here in the middle of nowhere. And of course, it's like, yes, of course your mortgage or your rent's going to be a million times cheaper. It's like, things close at like 8 p.m. for you.
No, 100%. I was fighting Karma.
Drive 20 minutes to go somewhere.
I was literally fighting Karma about this at St. Jude because he was like shit talking SoCal and like living California, this and everything. I'm like, living in SoCal is amazing. Like, I love SoCal. Like, I absolutely love it. Just the cost of everything is bullshit everywhere. So, like, yeah, I'm making way more money here than would be the equivalent of like if I were back in Knoxville or whatever, but also I wouldn't be making this money if I lived in Knoxville. So either way, I'm broke.
Or the opportunities. Well, Knoxville's a pretty poppin' place, or like close to Nashville. I guess how far is that from Nashville?
A few hours. Yeah.
Okay.
Knoxville's poppin'. Knoxville's just homophobic.
As a generic example, right. I was also more thinking Nashville, so that was on me.
Everyone thinks Nashville.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, though. It's just like, I get it, but it's just like there's so much more in other places too. I mean, there's a reason why New York is as poppin' as it is, or
Chicago.
I would say Florida, but I'm not. We're leaving.
Well,
let's
cut Florida off the fucking map.
Yes, please. And so it's, after living out here for a few years, it's like I get it. Yeah, a part of me is also fine with more of the like small town quiet life after a while as we get older, because I have a lot of family in New England and they live in a lot of small towns, and it is a vibe. It's so quiet. It's just like a 180 pace from the noise that is the city.
I'm very torn on it because I'm very much like, my entire life has been like career ambition and this, and clearly I like moved out here for a reason, and again, pandemic's complicated a lot of that, but it's been very like, I genuinely love it here. I love cities. I love LA, but so much is just like remote first now anyway. And I've definitely become that like middle-aged woman who just goes on Zillow and just like clicks around sometimes and just like, let me just
I have a buddy, he moved from San Diego to like Minnesota or something because remote is just like, which I'm happy. I mean, I'm glad people are finally realizing, oh, we could probably actually, do more work with our workers being happy and like in a location that they enjoy and don't need to take their car for 45 minutes to get somewhere. But
nightmare. I just moved to the middle of nowhere in Canada, and then my girlfriend's like, no, and I'm like, okay, but consider, then you wouldn't have to work, because then I could just afford everything and it would be fine, and then we would breathe and bills would be on auto pay, and you could just buy food when you want to buy food. You don't have to check your bank account. Doesn't that sound nice? This is amazing.
Is that the plan?
No.
No. Okay. Don't list any downsides here. And you're like, no, we'll just stay out here.
No, we'll just stay out here. It's fine. It's where it is, and we love it. It's very much like they're from California, and we love it here. I'm just very tired.
I feel that. Have you seen any actual, like, I won't say growth, but just opportunities from doing what you've been doing all these years? Is there projects you want to work on? Is there people you want to work with?
So my sore spot is a lot wrapped up in screenwriting, because I had multiple projects like with like multi-million-dollar kind of like, things lined up, and then COVID hit and everything stalled, and it was projects I've been like in and out of development through different directors and different funding and this and almost closing and whatever for years. And then I was getting hired to write on a show that would have been my like very full circle moment of like, break in, this is a thing. And then the entire room got scrapped because of like a public thing online, and it was just like stalling, and just like so many things that just like all the momentum and like stuff I've been building for years just like got absolutely just kneecapped. And right now, between the WGA strike, the SAG strike, and now IATSE, the crew union, just everything is so stalled here right now that it's really difficult to like feel that again. But there's people have scripts for certain things, and I'm really pushing that. And I do have a lot of stuff that once I feel like we're in a place for it could go forward. And so a lot of those definitely, there is payoff from that, and you just know people, and it's like this a lot in the creator space and gaming space. People work with who they want to work with, like who they like, and so it's so much what I talk about with like PAX and stuff like that. It's not about like going to networking events, about making real connections with people. And I'm just laughing because I kind of looking at it as a positive of it of. I didn't realize, and this is the dumbest thing I say as a professional writer, like as literally this is someone who's like I've been in video games, I've like done this shit, like this is my life. I didn't realize until a couple years ago that writing video games was a job I could have had.
Yeah.
Like it didn't occur. I knew other people did it. I'm friends with game writers. I knew whatever. Did not occur to me. I've even written TV shows about game studios. Like I have a comedy set in a gaming studio that's like a Veep style comedy. Did not occur to me that I could write a game or that I could like focus on like mocap and like things like that. Did not never
it's
until
just,
like
it's just I mean, now that you say that, it's I guess it's just not something that you just think about. You just feel like they just get made. It's like, oh wait, there's actually
I admire the people who make them. Yeah, I admire the people who make them. It's so cool, but it's so technical and so everything. It like literally like no, it's like it's probably Troy Baker. That's who that like it's just like nothing never occurred to me until one day I got like solicited for like this like writing thing, and I was like, I can be a game writer though. I'm not a game writer though. Like, and they're like, but you could be. And then I had like friends who like worked at these different studios, stuff like, well, you can write barks. And I'm like, well, yeah, I do that all the time. Like just like the dialogue call out kind of thing. Cause I'm known for my dialogue. Like I'm hired to come in to fix scripts, like without credit, basically to come and change all the dialogue and make it feel human or like to, make the characters feel different or individual or whatever. Right. So I come in and fix scripts basically. And I was like, I mean, yeah, like that dialogue's my thing. Like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, that's what game writing is. I'm like, what? Like, that's what entry level game writing. What? Like, I had no idea. And so I've since talked to like some like dev friends and stuff like that, being like, is this worth doing? And they're like, maybe, like, because the industry is just so volatile right now everywhere.
I was literally about to say that. Those exact words. Is just like, you could even, you can join an indie company or like a small whatever that is passionate, but it's like even then that's also scary just as big as it is.
Well, that's the thing. I've been doing passion projects for years, like my own things and whatever like that. And this is how stalled they are. Like I've had, 4 different directors attached to one project that probably is pretty DOA now because it's, was allegorical and now it's very literal because just how society has gone and whatever that it's just not its time anymore. And, it's one of those things where like, yeah, that was a passion project for about 10 years of my life. That was one of them, but it was definitely one that had a ton of traction and like attachments and things. And I had like a graphic novel prequel and like all this stuff, all this built-in IP that I was like very much like, this is my life. And now it's like, well, no one's ever probably going to see it. It's never going to be a thing. It's devastating. And it's that also is not lucrative. Like, but it's the thing you do it because you can't help it. Like, did you, oh God, this sounds so gay, but did you, I mean that with all the love in the world to me, but like, did you ever watch Halt and Catch Fire?
No.
Okay, so it's a show on AMC. It's maybe the best show ever made. I fucking love that show. And it's an AMC show, so it's like, if you ever watch Breaking Bad, it is a slower show where, you have to like be paying attention to it, but it's fantastic. And it's about like the dawn of the computer internet era. And the cast is fantastic. Absolutely great. But there's a line in the first season, maybe even the first episode, if I recall, where they're talking about I think it's whatever, it doesn't matter. But they're talking about like making like the computer and like it's such a good show about like you get somewhere, you're so close to the thing, and then it falls apart and you have to pick yourself back up and build a new thing, basically. And so these characters fail all the time and struggle and grow. Fantastic. But there's a line that Lee Pace says in it where it's basically you computers aren't the thing. It's the thing that gets you to the thing. And I think that all the time for pretty much everything in my life, where if it's like I've spent all this time with this one passion project or this one, like say I like had to like stop making the podcast like tomorrow, right? And it's the thing that chat really wanted and I was hesitant to do because again, I'm jack of all trades at that point and doing too much and all this content. And I was like, oh, no one wants it. But like then it turned out to be popular and well received and good. And I'm really glad I did it. But if I had for whatever reason end it tomorrow, it wouldn't be like, oh, I've burned all this like energy doing this. It would be like, okay, like what's next at that point?
Right.
And that kind of energy helps with like the creative field for me and like just all these things you're funneling into. Because I think about that with games a lot specifically, like when they're not like, God, I hate the Borderlands community doing this all the time, but like the in-game content kind of bullshit. Some games aren't about in-game content; it's about the game. And I play so many of those games multiple times because I love them as they are. Like I don't need like a in-game content. I want to experience that game. But I think about so much how often that's how many people pouring all of their passion, all of this work, all of this energy into this project that we're going to play for a few hours once and then drop, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's 100%. Heartbreaking to think about. But it's so much of like, you have to love what you're doing and doing that to keep doing that. And that's the gaming industry exists because people enjoy making video games. Like, yes, it's lucrative. Yes, whatever else, but it's also a shit show right now. Like people, we do this because it's the medium we want to tell stories in. And it's, I don't know. I think it's a lot of like looking at creator stuff, traction stuff, cosplay stuff, whatever. It's at one point, are you doing it because the passion for it or because like the potential like monetization of your hobby? But then at a point you're here to be happy. You're on this planet to like figure something out, right? And if my whole life's been like my career and focus and all this stuff, but then I spend all my time doing my day job, then it's at what point will you have to monetize what you're doing? And it's such a double-edged sword of like, no, genuinely love making content and then hating making content because it's sucking everything out of it. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, well, this also just transcends to like you can compare, I don't know, an average Western, company to like Nintendo. Nintendo doesn't do layoffs.
No,
you never hear about that. And then you're like, okay, why? And then you realize, oh, the actual CEO only makes a couple $1 million a year.
Yeah. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Poor guy.
And it's like, oh, so wait, so the workers actually they love what they do and they can actually do what they want to do well and not have to worry about financial issues or like getting laid off. And then so I think that alone just kind of sums it up, for the gaming industry as a whole. And then you look at games that hit peak records and then they fire 800 people and then their CEO is like, oh, I just got a bonus.
Well, then also people have no idea about like what actually like goes into making a game or who to blame for what when they're mad about something. So then we just like it so much of the time it comes down to shareholders and money. And instead it's just so easy for people to get mad on Twitter about stuff. I'm like, you guys, this is a shareholder issue. Like that is
you can just the first thing that comes to mind for recent time is Cyberpunk.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It shouldn't have come out when it did.
No, and they knew that and they acknowledged that.
Mm-hmm. And it did. It was a massive shit show, and I will say I'm happy the turnaround that it had. And
it's one of my favorite games of all time. I fucking love that game.
I always that's a weird game for me because I've never beat it. Every time I boot it up, I start it over, and then I'll get to like a little bit after like the Jackie situation, and then I just stop playing.
Do you get to Johnny at all?
Yeah, where he starts popping in.
Yeah.
But
I used to do that on console. I kept restarting because it like goes so long without doing it. Like I've played the prologue of that game so many times.
I you know what I think it is, and because I've tried it, and I know you love this game, so this will be unfortunate to say is for one, Pan Am is everything, but two, it sucks that
I cosplay her. I get it.
Okay, but it's unfortunate because I like the woman voice actor a million times more.
She is so much better
than male V, and you have to play male V to date Pan Am unless you mod it.
Okay, no, you know what you can do though. You know what you can do. You can do male body type V with female voice, and it works.
Okay, well then I might go. Maybe that's the thing because I'm like, for me, okay. So Red Dead 2 is a masterpiece to me.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. Okay, so we're agreement on that.
Absolute agreement. Makes me cry every time.
1,000%. I don't think I have held another game in higher praise than Red Dead 2, aside from like maybe Alan Wake. But and then Cyberpunk is just like I can't get into it. Like I like these characters, but my own character I just don't like, and it's male vegan. So I'm like I need to get to Pan Am so I can date her.
Literal all the love to the actor. I talk about this a lot though. So talking about the Jackie scene. So I habitually play male V. That's just like where I'm corporal male V. That is my main. And shocker to no one who knows anything about me at any given time. And I get through it and I was always just like, what the fuck is this? Like, what is he doing? Telepath plays female V religiously. Like that is V to them. And the first time, because they had beat it way before me and were obsessed with it, and I kept doing the thing where I kept restarting, and I was like, maybe it's just like V, like I don't care about V, I don't whatever. I will say this, he is way better in Phantom Liberty. Boy, brought it for Phantom Liberty, but whatever. I was like, he has like no credits. Who is this? Because the female V is Gage's voice actor, and so like she's in like so many fucking games. Like she's a very very working actor. This guy had like no credits, so I was like, was this just like a fill-in at a point? Like what are we doing?
I like his voice, but
the delivery is just questionable.
It's the response to things is where I'm just like,
I feel like he's filming a Marvel movie where half of it's blacked out and he doesn't know what he's responding to, and I don't understand. And so like the scenes with Vic, who I love Vic, and then like he'd be like, am I dying? Like it's just like the weirdest line where I'm like, why is that your choice? But it was the Jackie scene where Telepath was watching me at that point, like waiting for me to get to this like emotional moment, right? And I'm laughing in this scene because it's so bad. It's not good. And so they one day were like, cool, no, you need to do this. And so they went through one of the files they had on their female V, which was like right before the heist. And so got to that scene. And I remember I was starting to walk out of the room and I heard one of the line deliveries and I stopped and walked back and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This is what this is like? Because it was suddenly like emotional and real. Right. And like, I was like, how much am I fucking missing? Because like this girl's acting her ass off over here. And instead we just get like, he gets in the car and he's just like, oh, you know, things go wrong. Like it's fine. And he's kind of joking. And then suddenly like, no, don't give up on me, man. And I'm like, what is happening? Why are you like this?
Yeah. So maybe that's what I need to do. I don't know. I think
Judy is also best girl. Here's the thing. Judy and River doesn't get enough love. And Judy is also best girl. So like, it's worth it, but also if you do male body type female voice, you can get away with it.
Okay, that might be the strat, because I feel like that's genuinely for a game that's so, because I adore cyberpunk settings. Like I love like neon. I enjoy vibrant, and then like neo, all of that, like noir.
It's a great fucking game. Yeah, and that's the issue. It's like, and I love Pan Am. I love her so much. And I understand. And that's why I suffered through male V. And he's grown on me. Like, I love him. Like, I've since gone back to try to do like a female V run. And I'm like, he's just my boy now. I've spent so much hours in him, like, whatever. But there's a side quest later on that is like so like not important. And it's like fine. It's like a very, very small blinking you miss, it doesn't matter thing. But he literally has to like go to this grave thing at a point, and he's sitting there talking to Johnny, and Johnny is just like so done with him, and it works so well because V just has no idea what he's talking about, and he's so needlessly aggressive, and he's like looking at the screen, he's like, why the hell would he have a turtle, or like whatever the line is? And he's like, read the grave, V. Like, it's just so done compared to like her inquisitive kind of way. I'm like, this is batshit sometimes, where I just like, it takes me out of it, but everyone else is acting their ass off. And it's so weird. And so like the ending scenes, like I'll cry in them still, even with male V, but like it's such a different energy with the female V and Johnny as a dynamic versus male V and Johnny. And I love it. I fucking love it so much. I told Pascas too, the game opens up so much after you get past the prologue. So once you get to the point basically you stop at, you're so much less restricted, and you don't even feel restricted before that, but you just like, I don't know, the game just like becomes addictive and you're just doing so much stuff. And there's always stuff to do. Like it's so smart, and what I've wanted from like an open world RPG for so long. And I cannot praise it enough. I think it's a fantastic game. I think the newest update they did to it, like, just chef's kiss of moment of like this game deserved this kind of send off. And I want everyone to try it and play it, but I definitely as a male V main, female V is just better, and she is the canon V. Like she is.
Well, I'm glad at least it's not a hot take for me for trying to like wondering, because I'm like, this game should be perfect for me.
No, Frosty's bad.
I love RPGs.
All the love to him. I don't know what happened in the thing. I genuinely feel like it had to be like a Marvel movie situation where he just did not have what he was reacting to, because his voice is fine, delivery is fine, some things are okay, but even like there's a I quote it all the time, but there's a bit where after you like romance Pan Am, you can like call and just like check on her, whatever. And like if you go visit her, and the line is just every time he just says Pan Am when he's just like, I miss you, and she says something like flirty whatever but isn't saying it back, and he's like Pan Am, and she was like, I miss you too, but his line delivery every time is Pan Am, and I'm like, what? And so anytime I say something to Telepath that they don't respond the way I want them to, I'm just like Pan Am. Like every time.
That is, see, I don't, like I said, it's hard too because, again, the last time I tried to get back into it, because I did the same with Red Dead 2 for a little bit, where I would kind of go off and on with it before I fully was like, all right, I'm just gonna beat it.
I did that with Far Cry,
yeah, and so I finally did it, and I went to Cyberpunk after, and I was like, I don't like being negative towards games because I know Cyberpunk's a great game, especially where it is now. But I was like, it's just night and day for just like Arthur. And Dutch,
for sure.
And like, and these personalities that just shine and just have their own weight to everything that's happened. And then I come over here and I'm just like, why am I responding like this? Like, what is going on here?
Female V has so much personality to her. She is so fucking funny. Like, there is so much just there. I highly recommend playing it like that.
Okay, that's good. That will be the one because with all the updates, like Chef's Kiss, like Phantom Liberty, everything I've seen, they turn the game around, and I love to see it. You know,
it's truly, I have no complaints about this game. Like it's a fantastic fucking game, and it doesn't get old playing, and I will literally be sitting there, and be like, I just kind of want to restart it, or like I'll go back to a different save file, and it's it truly fantastic. Like, I never got the Keanu Reeves thing really before. Like, he was always fine, but I was never a Keanu Reeves girly, and now I'm like obsessed with him. Like, I will at some point cosplay Johnny Silverhand. Like, it's been on the list for a while. Because Telepath cosplays like Rogue and V, and then I did a really bullshit femvic cosplay at one point, but I do Pan Am, and I was like, no, when I get a little more jacked again, when I get back to like pre-pandemic stuff, I'm doing Johnny. Like, we're
that'll be dope.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. He's my boy. Which I think is a perfect segue for, I don't know if you've, in the episodes you've listened to, I tend to have a time capsule kind of question for your top 5 games. Not your favorite, not the best, whatever you think. It's really evolved for the years. It used to be me interrogating devs, like, okay, like the best games, not your favorite, but the best. But then people come on here and then they try to cheat and they panic at like number 3. And so it's evolved so much into just if you had to put like 5 games in a time capsule for people who like had no idea what video games were. And then they open up again later. What 5 games would you put in?
All right, I feel like I need a little bit of structure here. And these, for people who know me and listen to this, these are things that I praise anyways. So I'll start from the low end, which will be Super Nintendo, Donkey Kong Country 2 will be my first pick.
Yes. You were the first to say that, but I love it.
The OST to Donkey Kong Country 2 is one of my favorites of all time. It is absolute, just like for its time, like it's like 1996 or something. I don't know. Absolutely incredible, just chef's kiss all around. So that I'll move up a little bit more, probably to maybe like a GTA San Andreas kind of vibe, just because of how unique that was for its time for like PS2 and how in depth Rockstar. I'm gonna do a quick detour. Rockstar is actually incredible. Like, I know there's
for sure
shark card stuff or whatever, but like the amount of quality that they actually put into their games so consistently. In their characters and all, it just
I'm stoked for 6.
Actually, no.
Yeah.
I'm scrapping San Andreas. I'm going with Red Dead 2.
Fair.
Just to have one. Next, excluding the fact that I speedrun it, Sekiro. Nice. It's a From Software title who makes Dark Souls and Elden Ring and stuff. They
I forgot you speedrun that. Yeah.
Mainly because I'm putting that in strictly because it's some of the most enjoyable combat that I've ever played in a game for me personally.
Ooh.
It just clicks once it does click. It is so satisfying. It's like simple but in depth, and it's so for me. So I'll put that in there. Next up, I guess to keep things in the spirit, but I think it held its own and it just came out at the perfect time. I will probably have to throw Borderlands 2 in there. For obvious reasons. I mean. I guess it depends on how you look at it, like, right? Because like if you look at the depth of Borderlands 2, the story isn't that great, right?
No, I tell people that all the time. Every time
me and Bad Karma have had this conversation 5 million times, and it's like, yes, of course, Jack makes it, but it's like
Damian Clark is what made that game what it
is. And that's fine, but so not even just because of him, but just like as what the game transcended from. Just if you look from 1 to 2. Right, that's a 3-year difference because 1 came out in 2009. So if you just look at that 3-year jump with how much crisper it felt, how much more detail went into it.
There was a story in it. One
right,
one doesn't have a story. I'm the lore whore. It has no fucking story.
No, it really doesn't. Like it is, yeah. Even though the DLCs in 1 are great, I actually really enjoy.
Oh, both of them. Like we talking. You're gonna say with the curl chest. You're all the 1 DLCs.
Well, no, I mean in terms of the enjoyment with like I don't know. I enjoyed TK's Bloody Harvest.
Fuck Underdome.
Underdome is whatever. Yeah, fuck the Underdome. That's fine.
Okay,
but like,
that's all
they're not great stories. They're not great by
General
any means.
Knox, like yes, like whatever. But like, just Underdome was just rage inducing.
Well, it's the thing. You have to look at it actually introduced. Like General Knox introduced pearls.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And like as an example, right? I mean, of course, it's a small thing that they extended on, but like that Borderlands 1 also had like mixed weapons to where they can roll with different parts, like mashers on things and blah blah blah, whatever. Like, so one did some unique things that actually have not been expanded upon. It defined the looter
shooter genre.
Yeah, exactly. So like, for that, I'm gonna give it its flowers regardless. But 2 as a whole to me was just an upgrade in every way, both story, the gameplay, all that, like attention for looter shooters. So I'll put that in there, and then a 5th. I'm not gonna pick Diablo 3, even though it's played a lot. I am going to throw Rocket League for my number 5.
Nice,
because it's the only PvP. I want to put a PvP game on there, and while there's a million shooters and a million stuff, there has never been a PvP game like Rocket League where I've like gravitated towards it so much.
I need to cave and play it one day because it's one of those things that I see every Steam friend I've ever had just like load into Rocket League 3 times a day. I just constantly see my friends in Rocket League.
I mean, we can jump into it. It's the typical situation of it is easy to play and hard to master. So it's one of those things of like I'll get people into it, but it's like if you don't want to actually take the time to improve, just put the game down because that's where you're going to have to lead. So it's like, do you feel this game is worth putting thousands of hours into to actually watch yourself improve?
Yes.
Because it's
I have a problem.
Yeah. And that's the same with, CSGO, Overwatch, like anything where you actually want, League of Legends, whatever the case. Like
it's why I became a Widow main, because I just had to spend so long practicing, like, because I just wanted to be able to like counter pick a Widow if I needed to. So it's like, let me just like figure out how the fuck to actually like play her. And then it was just like, ooh, I like this power. Like, it just became, that was the thing I was grinding. And I hate that about me. But it was one of those, when I get better at it, that reward center in my brain, just light bulb.
Mm-hmm. And it's, so it's, for me, a game hasn't really done it. Like, if, we've played the shooters over time or like whatever. Yeah. But like something, and then I always have the conversation about it. Like, no game translates to Rocket League, no matter what you play.
Yeah.
There's nothing that translates. So it's like, to me,
and I love
it's such
like
a refreshing it's such a refreshing take, because it's like you can play every shooter in the world, you can play every racer in the world, it doesn't matter. When you play Rocket League, your mind is going to be like, what am I supposed to do here? Like,
yeah.
So it's, wait, did I say 4 or 5? I don't know.
I think that's 5.
DKC 2. I took away San Andreas for Red Dead 2, but I did that, Red Dead 2, Sekiro,
Borderlands,
League, and Borderlands 2. Okay, so that is 5. There you go.
Yeah. It's hard. People usually at 3 or 4, they're always like, oh god, this isn't pop. I'm like, yeah, for some reason picking 5 is difficult. It's
even then there's I picked ones that are unique enough to where it's covering most genres.
Yeah.
Because there's other amazing games like Detroit Become Human, for example, or like
fantastic,
or Alan Wake 2, like games that are absolutely masterpieces in their own right. But it's like I wanted to pick something that has its own flair and flavor for various reasons. So
my list changes all the time. Like, I totally get it. But also I need someone, whoever wants to put together a list of what people have said. I want to tally who has said what the most, because I feel like Red Dead 2 has popped up the most from people.
I feel like it's not a hot take at this point to say Red Dead 2 is one of the best games ever made.
No, it's
like
fantastic.
From posts that I see, even if you haven't played it, or if a lot of people are like the beginning is slow, but once they get into it, they get into it. And regardless of whatever it is, I have never seen. My take for this reason is because, should I spoiler alert for what happens to the main character?
You can. I think here's your spoiler alert warning. You have 30 seconds. Okay. Go ahead. So
I think with Arthur dying, I think it puts more weight that a lot of games don't do.
Yeah.
Because I like, it's one thing when it's just a good story and then the end is happily ever after, you feel good about it. But just like, because it's the second when Arthur gets TB, right?
Yeah.
Every player ever changes their ways if they were playing bad Arthur or whatever. They now feel the weight of,
you fundamentally shift in that game.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you as a person, a real person playing this fictional character, you fundamentally are just like, fuck. Like,
yeah.
you know the inevitable is going to happen.
I just got chills thinking about it. It's so good.
I actually did too. I genuinely love. I love Red Dead 2 so much. That, and for a runner-up honorable mention is Telltale's Walking Dead.
That's also mentioned a good amount. Yeah.
For me, I mean, I almost said New Tales again, Jesus Christ, because I call it bad so often. Tales is great, but for Telltale games, the bond between Clementine and Lee, and just like Clementine as she grows, very few games make me cry. Red Dead 2 did it. Walking Dead did it.
Those are two also common ones. When specifically when I ask dudes what games they cry in, those two come up a lot.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's because you gravitate, you play with these characters for so long. You watch them.
Dude, Spider-Man makes me cry. The PS4 game.
I haven't played them.
Oh my god, they're so good.
I really, I mean, I'm not like the biggest superhero lover, but I do watch them.
They're so fun mechanically, and I didn't expect to love Spider-Man as much as I did because I'm so just like fatigued and everything. Like, I'm fine with Spider-Man, whatever. I love Doc Ock, so that was helpful that he's in that one. But like literally, like I'm crying multiple times in this game. Yeah. And it's something I really didn't expect, but it's done so well that, you spend that time with the character, you have the emotional investment, even like the most obvious reveals, you're just sitting there going like, I feel the weight of this. Yeah. And it does it so masterfully. I absolutely adore it. Cyberpunk, again, not to, I'm not paid
no, it's fine.
by CD Projekt Red right now.
Right.
But it's one of those where I think it's impossible for people to get through and not cry at a point if you're playing it like
actually invested.
Yeah, if you're actually invested in it, because even with the different paths you can do at the end, because it will very much give you like this is a point of no return. You can come back to this point after you've completed the game, but you will be on a path to complete the game, and then you can come back here and do the other bullshit. So like tie up what you want to tie up. But even like the end credits, even I'll be brushing my teeth sometimes and just think of one of the end credit like segments, and I just get emotional. I'm like, oh my god, I feel like I'm in trouble. Like I feel like Rogue's Rage and like all this stuff. It's so well done, and it's really hard to get through that game without getting emotionally invested once you like get that deep into it, if you're actually like expanding on it. And so few games I feel like do that so effectively, where like I'm years later thinking about it, and Red Dead is one of those for me. Like it's so well done. The first BioShock is a lot like that for me, where just the reveal of stuff is just so fucking well done that I just absolutely there'll never be another game that touches it like that.
It's funny you mentioned BioShock. I actually like Infinite the most of the three.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because I played it first. It's probably a big reason why. Because I just came into the BioShock franchise later in life, and I think 3 was like free at some point or something.
Probably.
I was like, yo, this game's dope. And then I played the others, and I was like, the atmosphere, of course, that's going to be a big part, is which atmosphere do you like more? And then, of course, it's the originals. Of course, people are going to gravitate to 1 or 2 more, which I get. Two's
only recently had a resurgence. I used to be like the ugly stepchild of the BioShock fandom, and now people are like, justice for 2, 3 sucks. I'm like, I love this thing that the internet goes through where something popular is suddenly bad. Because 3's great. Like, every game has its flaws, but like 1 just was the first time a game really betrayed me in that kind of way. And it's fantastic. Like, you've seen my fucking Borderlands tattoo, I'm sure, because I yell about it all the time. I really want to get a BioShock 1 on the other arm for a sleeve that's similar, but that fades from like Columbia to Rapture kind of thing, and incorporate both, cool. Because it's just it changes your DNA like the first time playing BioShock. And so I can't imagine doing 3 first, because it is such a like BioShock is so like, no matter what you do, your choices don't matter, but also your choices matter a fuck ton story. And 3 really turns it on its head with that. But no, I fucking love Booker and Liz with my whole heart and soul. Like, she's one of my favorite cosplays. I fucking adore her so much.
Yeah. So anything, and gaming as a whole, we've transcended so much, because it's a lot of time. Sure, you can argue like it's just live action movies with some things like God of War or something. Of course, there's a lot of gameplay in it, but like regardless of it, there's so much detail and
I will defend Last of Us till the day I die, because it's one of those things.
The first time I played Last of Us, I borrowed my buddy's PS3, and I loved it. I was like, when the plot twist of Joel lying to Ellie at the very end, you're just like, you piece of shit, but I also get it, but also you're a piece of shit.
That's
don't know
the thing. I would make the same choice, but also like, would I? Like, it's so fucking hard, because you get it in that moment and you want him to go through with it, but also you're like, this is the worst thing you could possibly do. But also like, I get it. Like
So
it's so good. It's so good.
and to
Yeah.
me that's great. That's why I said for me, not that Red Dead 2 in this case would be worse story wise if Arthur lived,
Yeah.
but just any story that puts weight on you,
Yeah.
I think is where those are the stories that are talked about for years.
They are,
If
and
not,
that's
or
yeah.
and same like I haven't played Last of Us 2. I just never got around to it. I've
It's so
heard I
much.
won't say I've heard mixed things overall, but
I
I
fucking
don't know if it's like the griefers who just have a problem with like
it's yes, yes. I'm very protective of Last of Us 2 spoilers for people because it's like one of those things that like when it got leaked beforehand and things like that, I feel like it fundamentally changes people's experience with the game.
okay,
That being said, I think people need to get the fuck over and play the game because it's perfectly done for what it does it effectively and it is gut wrenching and that is the point. Like I'm never emotionally satisfied playing it, and like I don't really play the last of the games to feel good, you know. But it's a
right,
fantastic story, and I think it's people just getting really. It's a very specific demographic who are very mad about it. Like people's big problem in it is like Abby because you have like two playable characters in it, right?
yeah,
And that's most men's problem with it when they yell about it. And I it's Laura Bailey, like she's fantastic. Like the acting performance is not the issue. I think it's the fact that you're playing someone that you now narratively hate, and that's the purpose of it. And this is like, it's like, it's spoilery, but like, so
we
there's
can move on. We can move on.
it's more for you and protecting whatever, but it's
Okay,
just like
okay.
the intentional thing of the game. It's like, how do I say this without anything? So like in photo mode in the game, you can like toggle like show enemies, show allies, show whatever, so
Hmm.
you can get whatever. There are literally points of the game where who you're playing as and who you're with changes with that toggle because it's
Mm,
so like ingrained into like these personal relationships and like
right,
where people are. And I think things like that are so fucking fascinating because it does so specifically just just it forces you to make choices even if you're not
right.
actively in a game that's making choices.
Yeah,
And
and that's great. I
yeah, I
love
love
that.
it. I love it so much.
Like I said, I don't listen to feedback.
No, yeah.
I'll play it if I'm interested in it, unless it's performance wise. That's a different story
Yeah.
because that does
Again,
happen on
female
PC
V.
a lot, unfortunately. Yeah, yeah.
Female V.
No, I mean actual like system performance, but also
That
both
too.
performance.
That too.
But
Two birds.
so yeah, I just never got around to it. It came out as being a PS exclusive. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't playing my PS5 much at the time. I just kind of skipped
It's about
past
to
it.
come out on
And
PC too, so
yeah, so I'll probably finally bite the. Hopefully, the port is good.
I think
But
it will be because
um,
it's the rebuild of it. It's like not I don't even know if it's been one of those officially announced things or just one of those like soft announced things. But
right.
yeah, I mean it's the port for one was fantastic. Like I had no
Yeah.
issues with it.
You feel with this recent Borderlands movie that's about to release?
Borderlands movie. Okay. um Here's the thing. I've been called a lot of things on the internet. Shill is a
Hmm.
funny one.
Yep.
Because I get no money for being a simp for Borderlands. I just am. The Borderlands movie, I think I have mixed feelings about. And
As you should.
I think will be fun. And I think people mistake that for good.
Yes.
And I think it'll be a lot of fun if I can like take an edible or have a drink and go see it and have fun. Then if I leave having fun, then that's literally all I want from it. And I've been saying this for the dawn of times, like I think it's gonna be good or like entertaining. And if it's not, I'll be the first to say that I'm disappointed. But I'm just gonna be excited about it because worst case, I'm disappointed. If I'm excited about going to it and like whatever, then I never have to watch it again. Or worst case, I am miserable the entire time before it comes out, goes to see it anyway, and then like whatever. Like I'm not rooting against it. I want it to be good. I
Right.
want it to be fun. My problem is not with the casting. The hesitation I have is just anytime a screenwriter, especially a well-known screenwriter, distance themselves from a project and has to be like, this isn't my work,
Yeah.
concerns me a little bit.
Yeah. As it should. That's fair.
So that's mostly my mixed feelings on it. I don't mind it's in a different like timeline universe thing. I don't mind the casting. I don't, really even mind what we've seen about it because I hate Claptrap anyway. um, but like he's always annoying to me. The that kind of humor in Borderlands is he's designed to be annoying. Like of course he
Right.
annoys me. But I think people are just haters, and I'm excited for it. Like I
For
will
sure.
go opening day to see it, and I will probably see it way too many times, even if I don't like it. But I will be the first to say if I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna be fun, and if it's something I can just like have more Borderlands content, that if it does well and gets us other Borderlands content, I'm excited.
Well, that's where my take comes into play,
Lay it on
which
me.
is simply this: who is this movie for? Is my first question.
Us. It's not
exactly.
Us.
But that's the thing: is you take a look, because you've seen time and time again of live adaptations of games, and they're not great, right? That's a very, very rarely,
especially
and
movies.
I feel like, yeah. I was about to say now more so. You've seen shows that have exceeded expectations, Last of Us and stuff like that. Ghost of Tsushima, they're getting their own thing, which is I'm super excited for. I don't know if you've played that game, but it's phenomenal. Absolutely gorgeous.
It's one of those I own multiple times and I haven't played.
Oh Jesus! Well, at least play this one, because they are getting a. I always forget if it's a movie or show, but I think it's a movie.
Yeah.
But the game is absolutely, and it's on PC now. It's
hell yeah,
so good and gorgeous. But anyways, so my first question is, who's this for? And it's like, okay, it's not for the fans, not for the people who know the franchise.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so that means this would be to try and potentially convince others to find out about Borderlands, right? Yeah. So you're like, okay, so who are they trying to appeal to? And then you look at the cast. So it's like, all right, star-studded cast. So people are going to be like, oh, I don't know what this franchise is. There's Kevin Hart, there's Cate Blanchett, there's Jamie Lee Curtis, there's Jack Black, whatever. Cool. Action movie. Let's see what it is. But then the next problem I have is it's not following any specific timeline.
Mm-hmm.
The casting, I don't hate the casting by any means. I don't have a problem with Kevin Hart, or I think Jamie Lee Curtis and Cate Blanchett are great actresses, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, they're very old, in my opinion, for the roles. So if this truly is supposed to be a franchise thing, it's like, clearly, if they're going to go a different route, that means they're probably going to have to kill off Lilith or Tannis or somebody, not follow a typical thing, because Brick and Mordecai aren't in it.
Yeah.
That we've seen. So it's like they're not following any form of strategy.
They're not on the IMDb for it, so I
right. Know yeah. So that means like, okay, if Borderlands 2 drops, they're probably going to come into the mix. Right. It would be my first assumption.
Mm-hmm.
So are they going to just add on to it? Are they going to kill off characters? Like whatever. So that's my biggest worry, is just like, if it's not for the fans, if you're not doing fan service, but you're also doing a poor adaptation, or I'll air quote poor, because I'm not going into this with hatred expectation. I'm excited to see it. I hope it's fun. It's just like, if it's going to not be great to bring new people in, it's just like, what's the purpose at the end of the day for me? And I think that was my biggest issue seeing it, because again, whatever about star-studded, of course there's a million different actors or actresses you can be like, this fits them way better, you could do like a Dave Bautista for Krieg or whatever. Like, sure, I get it, but that's my biggest question immediately. And then again, it just sucks, because I feel like it is falling into the role of, oh, it's just another live adaptation movie that is there and gone. Like, I can name probably 5 movies that are game adaptations that you completely forgot about for various reasons. Like, Doom,
I'm sure,
for example.
I was about to say, I forget Doom exists all the time.
Like, and that same situation had The Rock. I don't remember, there's other people in it. It's like they come and go, and I
Assassin's
don't want
Creed with Michael Fassbender. That was just
mm-hmm. Yeah. World of Warcraft did one. That wasn't really live action as much, but that still existed.
Tomb Raider, the most recent one, specifically.
Like
Uncharted.
Even the D&D movie, which actually wasn't bad at all.
No, it was not. It was fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know
fun,
the fight sequence was filmed in initiative order in 6 seconds?
I did not see.
It's really fucking cool.
Like, and these are, I don't want this to go into that bubble, and I feel like it inevitably will, with wanting to do things different, but not really have a specific purpose of catering.
I think. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it's on you. You're good.
I think the thing that gives me hope for even just something like that is that, like, Uncharted did well enough that it's gonna get more movies, and that blows my mind, because it wasn't Uncharted. Like, make something else. Why are you making Uncharted? Like, it didn't feel, you know what I mean?
Right.
Borderlands, from everything I've seen from it, feels at least like Borderlands and like the world. Like, I don't get this shit for the props and stuff online where people are like, cosplayers make it better. Like, no, we don't. Like, we make things look very specific on camera in a very specific way, but that doesn't translate in the same to like film and all this other stuff. Like, I think that the love from the behind the scenes pictures and things like that, like, people seemed excited to make this movie. People who work their asses off and love these games to make this movie. However, I don't think that's going to necessarily translate to, this is a game for us, the people who sit here and farm peak for, years at a time.
Right.
But granted, nothing in the franchise is really for us, and I think that's a hard pill for us to swallow, when it's like we're the ones putting thousands of hours into these games, and that's not what these games are built for. Like, that it's not. We're just making it that, which is great, and I love that we do that. But I think the benefit of that is, if this movie does well, in any broad strokes of that. I think that makes it way more likely for us to get like an Arcane like TV series, more graphic novel adaptations, better swing at a movie, reboot of a movie. Like these things help a division of Gearbox who wants to make that kind of media. And Randy has made it very clear that that's something he's interested in, is the expansion of this kind of media. And
for sure.
I think when people are like mad, because that's a lot of things people come to me about, where they'll be in chat and we talk about, well, it would have been better as a TV series. And I'm like, well, yeah, I think any video game is going to do better as a TV series generally, because the point of video games is you have, 40 hours in a campaign to really get to know these characters in this plot line. And that condensed into our movie is never going to hit the same.
Right.
Like ever.
1,000%. Yeah, for sure.
And so that's why things like Fallout and Last of Us work for people, because you're able to have that time to breathe and really like have those beats. Borderlands, with all the love in the world, there's not much fucking story there. There's not. I love the pre-sequel. I think Tales is fantastically written. I think pre-sequel is the best run of the shooters. I do love 3. I very much love these games unironically. However, they're not for their story. I'm obsessed with their lore. As the resident lore whore, it is not it's not what the games initially are about. And so when you're marketing that, it's not like people want to see Claptrap. They want to see Claptrap be ridiculous. They want to see the stairs jokes. They want to see, it's the people who see me in Jack cosplay and know they recognize me and can't figure out what it's from. That's what this movie's for. The people who call me Captain Jack or go, oh, that's in the style of that game, like Borderlands. Oh wait, no shit, it is Borderlands. I forget what happens in Borderlands. It's that kind of thing where I think it's going to bring more attention for an imminent 4 likely announcement. Because the way they held on to this for so long, I feel like it has to line up at least somewhat. And I think that it's going to just bring new breath into the franchise overall, more attention to the franchise overall. There's probably a good bit of ego in projects like this. So that is that to consider. But I do think ultimately this being successful by any metric is just good for the franchise long term. I don't think... I'm waiting for the reaction if people think it's bad and then they go to the movie and then it does decent and then, or decent enough to at least get a sequel or something. People are just gonna be mad about it and be like, this is the death of the franchise, because we say that about fucking everything. And no, that's not. It's the opposite. That shows shareholders people want more Borderlands, which means we get more money and more time to do more Borderlands. That's what that is. Yeah. So I'm hopeful for it. I'm excited for it. My expectation is truly, am I just going to be able to turn off my brain and enjoy myself?
Yeah. Which as it should be. I mean, it's very action packed, but that's, for me, I would like a combination of both. It's okay, if you're going to throw out a movie that isn't just for fan service, at least have the sprinkles in, at least have some callbacks to very memorable lines from the games, or just even the music, that hits, it keeps the fans happy, but then it also, because that's the thing, is, to me, I feel like that should be somewhat the direction, because obviously if you're able to capture gamers to love your franchise with X, Y, and Z reasons, those X, Y, and Z reasons should go into this, because then you'll capture the people outside of that bubble, is, you know what I mean? Playing No Rest for the Wicked is a simple example. If the movie starts off with that,
they're going to.
Right. But if they didn't, right, it's just the fans are mad, but then it's also that feels to me like a missed opportunity, because that attracted people for a reason. That song will get stuck in your head, which means you would be able to encapsulate that to non-Borderlands players who see the movie.
I think so do you know much about the beginning filming process of this movie, when it was being shopped around?
I know they had to refilm. I don't know why.
I didn't I mean, that happens with a lot.
But so, that's all I know.
Back before this was announced, so it's funny to me when people are like, "Oh, did you know they're doing Borderlands movie?" Or they're just now finding out about the cast. I'm like, this was announced fucking 4 years ago. This has been a thing. Back in the Hollywood scene when this was happening, the Borderlands script that the writer of the Last of Us TV show and Chernobyl and everything was on. He's the one who wrote it. Was shopping around. It was the script that studios were fighting over. It was absolutely supposed to be fantastic, and the Hollywood rumor mill on that throughout the years has been very much Eli Roth got really involved, or then these creative differences, or then this just all these things that no one really knows exactly what happened. But now Craig's name is off the project, and it's a name that isn't actually registered with WGA, that no one can find credits for, that people thought was him doing a pseudonym, which he had to then publicly come out and be like, no, this isn't my script that they're using. This isn't whatever, and like completely remove himself from the project, even though he was still on some of the marketing shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever happened in that timeline, this was not the original movie we were Lionsgate was making that we know of.
Right.
And that kind of gives me hope in a weird way, where it's like about the movie, but in general for the overall like what Borderlands could do, because I'm very much, I think Epic talks about this a lot on Twitter too when I see it too, but like I'm very much under the belief that Borderlands really thrives when it doesn't take itself too seriously, but the characters take themselves seriously. Like it's very much that let Borderlands be dark sometimes. Let it, have space to breathe. Let it say something like, I will rant forever and ever and ever and ever about the turn Jack has in 2 and how significant it is. And to the gameplay, like from the Bloodwing moment, from the Angel moment, and how much his character really changes and the way he talks to us changes and those moments and why that's so effective in that. Well, TPS is the same moment with the Moxie betrayal. Tales has plenty of those moments. I think the scene where you choose to trust Jack in the original Tales, and it's like that big like conducting scene with the little dumpy bot and everything, it's fucking fantastic and like borderline emotional and so well done because it's just cinematic in that way. And I think Borderlands really excels that way, and someone like Greg really could tap into that side of it. I see how quickly off the rails it could be into the let's lean into just like the Borderlands wacky humor of it. I think that gives me hope that we will get a potential like series follow-up, something that does let those like heavier moments and those most serious moments of the game really shine. Because while Borderlands has never been like, I'm never going to get a Last of Us kind of adaptation of Borderlands, right? Like that's just not the same fucking game.
Yeah.
I do think allowing it to be more serious than people really expect it to be is a good thing. And I'm just hopeful that that's a thing that people are still interested in, because people were very eager to make it a few years ago, and that's just not the project that's about to come out.
Yeah, which even then, I mean, I think what you said is perfect or spot on. Is just like the situations at hand are very serious. Like these, and it's something that I never feel like is tapped into, which has kind of Handsome Jack, ironically, whether you love him or hate him, I think 2 actually tapped into as well.
Oh, I hate him.
His vision of Vault Hunters are actually bad. Like
we are bad. We're mercenaries.
Right. Like y'all are trying to stop me from taking over whatever, but at the same time, you're also fine with going and also disturbing the peace with these vaults. So it's like, and getting the loot for yourself. So like, I wish not only the franchise as a whole would tap into that more. I can go for days on what I feel like Borderlands 3 should have been. Hopefully 4 is that. But
what do you want from 4?
What I want from 4 is what I was hoping 3 did, which I am a TPS stan.
Same,
and
it's so good.
Not only that, but now like I feel like people truly forget that TPS, the end of the game, was taking place after 2, and of course the Iridian was like, "Hey, Vault Hunters, relax, Buckos, a war's coming. Gather all the squad."
It was in tandem with New Tales, because we see where Athena gets kidnapped,
exactly.
with original Tales, where she gets. Now I did it. You passed the disease on to me, but like no, we see where she gets kidnapped by Brick and Mordecai in that, which brings us to the start of TPS.
Yeah. Exactly. And so I thought 3 was going to be, I don't want to do superhero comparisons, but I really thought 3 was going to be the Infinity War / Endgame of the franchise is what I was hoping for. I was hoping 3 was going to be the war. And like you have new Vault Hunters come in, old, whatever the case, and it's just not what it was. So that's just what I was hoping. We didn't get it. And at this point, going down through the franchise, like, we all know 4 is coming. My hope is held tight in the regards of I can't tell if Gearbox is doing what they're going to continue to do or a little bit of what I would like them to do, which to me is to expand on the formula. Like I feel like looter shooters have grown, like Destiny, all these games have. In terms of gameplay, I would like Borderlands to be more. I would like to actually explore vaults and maybe have vault raids as an example, right? Like for gameplay purpose.
More Destiny,
yeah. Like for me, it definitely could. But then when Randy tweeted about an MMO, it's like, okay.
I would like it. Like separate from like the numbered games, I would like a online like Borderlands thing.
Well, to me, and this is a perfect push for. I think Wonderlands was perfect on release.
No, it's fantastic.
I think Wonderlands encapsulated. It took away the biggest thing I hate about Borderlands, which is driving.
Yeah,
I think so. Having the tabletop thing where you run around and like the maps are just gorgeous and they're not too big and you're able to just enjoy your gameplay. Like Wonderlands and then the story wasn't too long. It wasn't dragged out. A lot of fun little moments, a lot of good interactions. Wonderlands was the best vanilla, quote unquote, lands experience in my opinion. Period. Obviously, what they did after is whatever, but
yeah,
to not, and it's wild to me because they didn't plan on doing DLC with Wonderlands.
Yeah.
From what I heard, and it's just I truly don't get why that was their decision. Like, of course, they wanted to see. To me, if you were going to make a whole game based off of a DLC because of how beloved it was, to me, I feel like that's a core sign that you should have been prepped for. Let's expand this even more, which I know Wonderlands 2 will probably come out, but I mean, just for in the moment.
No, for sure.
But like I said, what I mean by them expanding the franchise is like the whole, here's a game, here's 4 DLCs. All right, we'll see you in 5 to 10 years. Like, I feel like Wonderlands could be a live service and it would be perfectly fine. Like, give us tabletop DLCs. You know what I mean? Like, give us.
That'd be really cool. Yeah.
Like it's right there. You know what I mean? It's separate. They wanted to make it separate from Borderlands. It's like you already did, so do something different. Like, which. Whatever, but
I like to think it would grow into that. I do. I have faith because
if the MMO is doing that, then that's where they would probably go with that.
Yeah,
if the MMO exists,
maybe that is the MMO. Yeah.
And of course we'll see what happens. So 4, I'm kind of holding my breath because what I want out of the franchise, they just haven't been doing, or at least haven't been felt like they are doing, which is expanding. I won't use the term live service because there's a lot of negative around that, but essentially that, like, there's no reason not to expand on the game that defined a genre.
Well, we got really close with stuff with like Arms Race and things like that too, and Guardian Takedown, like whatever, but like it's just the I think it's the half play with a lot of that, and clearly there was community drama around Arms Race and things that I feel like there's so much potential there that it just really turns the franchise on its head for what people know it as, and it's really hard to like divorce. Like, what if that is what made it successful, is that it was the linear story, here's this looter shooter, because there's no game really like Borderlands, and so making it more like something else, is it better that way? Is it worse? And I can imagine that's a difficult thing to balance in development.
For sure. And and I'm not a big, like, I enjoy Destiny, but I'm not a Destiny stan, or I don't actively play it. But to me, it's like, it does feel like it can expand into a direction of that to give the hardcore players something more. But that's all. You're also expanding, like, that's why Original Tales is so good. They literally at the end, they walk into a vault. They go in and you don't know what happens. And it's like, but even then, and this is why I'm a TPS stan. Yeah, true. But why I'm a TPS stan, because you actually go in and you are in a vault for a little bit, and like you fight like.
I love the Iridians, and I love that kind of lore. Yeah.
So you have that, but the reason why I'm so flabbergasted is because 3 was going through peak COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And they dropped some of the most updated content, being Malawan. I'll use Malawan Takedown in this case. Yeah, it was free and is considered some of the best Borderlands content to date, or period.
I love the 3 DLCs. So unironically, like, I think every edition they made to 3 is fantastic.
So to me, you do that, and then that's why I was just so flabbergasted at Wonderlands, because I was just like, they've expanded. They went a slightly different direction with it, and then I was just shocked when I heard they had no like DLC intents or even extended content. Yeah, and then what they did choose to do, of course, received criticism for various reasons, but
invalid. But like,
very valid, especially when young Randy went on Twitter to try and what's the word I'm looking for here? I guess try and push why he felt their DLCs PLCs were good prices. But I don't like to be negative towards games. I think people coming in with that mindset, it's no good. What's the purpose? Why do you want something to feel like
devs?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to provide negative energy. It really is. Like, I get it.
And the engagement farming of it, like, I sometimes it's not even intentional from people, and it's just easier, and people will agree with you. And I get way more shit for my positive opinions than I do negative. Like, I remember one time on stream, like, someone was like, I was like, yeah, like, who do you want? Because I'm talking to a few devs, and I've had like a few, like, we've had like Gearbox mocap, facial technician, stuff like that on here and stuff. I'm like, yeah, like, who do you want to see? And people are like, Randy. And I'm like, okay, well, like, no, I think I don't know. And I'm just like, I don't think that I'm a little too brand risk for Gearbox, and I had people like so sincerely be like, "No, you're like the nicest about Gearbox." Of like, I'm like, "Do you realize the bar that we have for that right now? Like how negative people are if that's something we're sincerely talking about?" Because people genuinely think I like have no criticisms of whatever. I'm like, I don't. I think it's boring to talk about the things I hate. Like it's not. Also, not everything has to be for me. Like if I don't like it, it doesn't inherently mean it's bad. It just means that bit is not for me. Like, like.
Well, that's what I tell people too. I mean, of course, there always is going to be something when I feel like can be universally uh, accepted as this is just bad. But there's a lot of times I'm just like, is it bad or is it just not what you were wanting or it just isn't for you? And it's okay.
Yeah.
And that's where, even for me personally, that's where I feel like Borderlands has gone. And that's why I tapped out. Yeah. I still played everything, but I tapped out in terms of streaming. I tapped out after the 3rd DLC and 3.
I mean, yeah.
Because I was just like, I want more out of a game that I'm dedicating time to, or a franchise I'm dedicating time to. I just want to experience more. That isn't a DLC that's a few hours and then maybe a raid boss, like with very little mechanics or like very little incentive to grind for. You know what I mean?
For sure.
That's how I tapped out personally.
I have a weird relationship with DLCs because I feel like I don't know what gave me this idea for them because I can't even think of that many games that do it. But I always expect DLCs to be like we're truly expanding the game and like the core game. And so like things like Phantom Liberty for Cyberpunk, I feel like did it so well because it is like it's a new map, but it's like the story, but you're still doing your other shit during it. And it doesn't feel like, hey, here's a separate, mini game that you're playing.
Right.
And that was always my issue with the 2 DLCs where I was like, yeah, the headhunters are fun and like whatever, but like they're not related to the game in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And the closest it came to it. Yeah. The closest it came was Fight for Sanctuary, but then they didn't really commit as hard as they would do that. And Hector's really fucking boring.
And don't get me started.
I like you don't want to talk about the rap.
It's okay. 2 things. So remember, so this is coming in with me hoping 3 is going to be the in-game Infinity War of the franchise, right? Again, after the TPS ending, I was like, oh, 3 is going to be peak. Yeah. And then they go and tickle my butt cheeks even harder by dropping Fight for Sanctuary for free. And then they, for one, drop a new rarity. And this is where I'm about to rant for both good and bad. I love gear sets. I think gear sets are amazing.
Yeah.
In other games like Diablo has gear sets, Division has gear sets. I just love them personally. So they decide to drop a brand new rarity, Effervescent, the rainbow rarity. So gorgeous, my favorite rarity immediately. And then on top of that, it's like little mini gear sets for the game. So they brought in a whole new mechanic to Borderlands that has never been invented for this random DLC out of nowhere. So I immediately like 3 is about to be peak, 3 is about to be incredible. And then not only is that rarity not in the game, no other rarities in the game. So
in fairness, the pearls in 2 suck.
Sure, I mean, but that's not a player issue. That's you need to expand on it. And
no, for sure.
Not tooting. I'm gonna toot, but also not tooting. I don't know if you've played any modded Borderlands stuff. In this case, specifically Redux. I don't know if you've ever seen it or touched it.
So I've seen it. I haven't actually played it because I played on PlayStation for so long that I just never had any mods. And then I was like in the middle of runs when I like came to the PC to rebuild. And so I have a bunch installed but just disabled that I just like. There are too many to start at now where I'm like heard about these for years and I've never done Exodus on TPS, like I've like nothing. And so, but I've seen it. And I even like the community patch and stuff. Like I've like read through it, looked at it. I'm like, all of these feel like solid, fun quality of life improvements across the board.
Yeah. And I worked on Wonderlands Redux with Epic.
Hell yeah.
And
the Redux I hear is fucking incredible. And that was the big thing. You guys put pearls back in.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but we also changed what they do.
Yeah.
To give
and you changed loot luck, right?
Yeah. Well, then we just took it out.
Yeah. Good. Well, good.
Just gave what you should do, which is just dedicated drop rates. You know what I mean? Like.
Oh my god, shocker! Insane.
So something that's been in the game, but that's what I mean. Is it's possible, and it's not it's just the direction. This is exactly what I mean by the direction Gearbox, or I won't really put that on them, or 2K or whoever you want to blame, but
yeah.
I just want more, and I hope it goes that direction, or at least they spin off into that direction.
Yeah.
Because there's again for you, like you said, you're a lore whore or whatever you call yourself.
I am a lore whore.
So like, it's there. You can tap into this potential with characters that are beloved, that have come and gone. Like everything is there for the perfect mix of very long lasting gameplay and a good story.
I
And
worry that no matter what 4 is with the announcement, people are gonna just be mad about it. And I'm really hoping, I'm really fucking rooting for it because I think that there is so much potential to, like you're saying, like change the formula up that would be good for the game that I think people would be really resistant to. But I also think fan service doesn't work in the same way that it used to, maybe. And like, I don't think they're bringing Jack back. I never think they're bringing Jack back. Like, I'm the first to be like, fuck that. Like, they're not doing this. And people are like swearing up and down. I'm like, no, no. Like if they, and then yeah,
I
no.
I have that argument constantly with Epic.
Yeah, no, they're not. Dude, Epic is the worst about it. Tell him I said that. Tell him I fucking, every time he tweets about it, my soul dies a little bit. I'm like, stop it.
This conversation comes up not even once a week, probably once every 48 to 72 hours. Like, because he's dying on the hill of, because at one point it was canon that they were going to bring him back in 3. But then on top of that, and I still have receipt proof of, I think, Sam Winkler responding saying Jack is dead. Like, yeah, get over it.
Yeah.
I love Sam so much. Of course that doesn't mean they can't bring him back, because if they already planned on it at one point, that doesn't, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't it be? Well, why wouldn't that be in the back pocket down the line? You know what I mean?
Here's the thing. I get it. I see exactly where I would have, as a writer, put in my SOS point would be in Jackpot to make that actually be Jack. And there's a line in an interview with Damian Clark that I will die on the hill of, like, this is the thing of where, like, this is their SOS button if they ever needed to do it and bring it back. However, they're never gonna fucking do it. Like, it makes sense that you get to the point of 2 where you don't realize what the franchise is gonna become. You don't realize what Jack is gonna be. You kill off your bad guy as you're supposed to fucking do, and then you go, fuck, we did that too soon, because this is so fucking popular. And then we got Tails and we got TPS. Like, his story is there and you don't want to jump the shark on it, but like, there's plenty there. If they bring him back, they're going to hate him. Like, people are going to hate him. Like, let him live in the glory that he is. And, we'll figure it out for the rest. But like, I think the smartest thing they would do is have their way to be like, okay, if we needed to ever do this to like revive something, fine, but we're not going to do it. Like, and I honestly don't think Sam would do that.
I don't, but I'm also, the reason why I can also see the other end is because, and I hate to bring this game up, New Tales created,
oh my god,
their incredible little reset button. And if New Tales is canon in any capacity,
New Tales is canon, but it's not a direct, like, it's not going to affect anything. Like, it's not.
Hopefully not.
I will bet someone $1,000 fucking bucks right now that I do not have. Like, who wants to fucking bet me? This is an open bet to fucking anyone. I swear to God, every time I see people fear mongering this, I'm like, no, that's not what they're fucking doing. Pay attention to like, it's a different team.
I want to agree with you 1,000%. I truly do. I don't think so either. But like I said, I think what you said is perfect in the regards of here's our SOS button, and even then, it's like
you can only do it once. You only have it once if you do it.
Yeah,
it's not now.
And so, but again, you have the epics and other people who are like, his story isn't done being told. Nobody's gonna compare to Jack, so might as well just give us more of him.
Open invitation to Epic and whoever the fuck else wants to argue about Handsome Jack, because I guarantee you there's no bitch on this planet who can out argue Handsome Jack bullshit, and he's fucking dead.
But he even asked me directly, and other people have, is just like, why do you feel people hate him so much? And I was like, it's just because of how much we got of him in such a short span. I was like, It doesn't feel like that now, but I was like, if you look at it, you had BL2, and then you had DLCs that still referenced him. Like in the Hammerlock DLC, people were wearing Jack masks and stuff, like they were still cult leaders or whatever. And then I was like, on top of that, then TPS comes out a couple years later and it's all about him. And then on top of that, Tails comes out and he's literally in it. He was like, yes, he's a hologram, but I was like, his DNA is there, his charm is there. I was like,
it's one of the best Jack lines of the franchise. Yeah.
I was like, you have that in the span of like 4-ish to 5 years. And I was like, you have your fix and it's great. And I'm kind of on the fence. I wouldn't be mad if he came back. I wouldn't be happy if he came back. I think Troy and Tyrene could have had a better ending than they did.
I agree.
I think I'm with a lot of people most likely agree, but I feel like Troy should have been the outcome instead of Tyrene.
I hard disagree with that. I see where people talk about that. I think narratively it never seemed like that to me. I think I get where people are going with that, but I think it just things didn't hit the right way. And probably cut content and some lack of development on stuff, but I think narratively I just cannot piece together where it would have been Troy.
I think it's the little interactions for me that it always felt like he was being like shadowed.
Yeah.
Or shadowed. No, don't know the word I'm looking for, but just like the way Tyrene kind of treated him like the lesser half.
That with him and Aurelia and this deal, and then her I can't get on my Calypso right. I know I can't, dude. I listen again. Girlfriend cosplays Tyrene. Like there's just like we have dissected these characters so much, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like the criticisms I have for everything, whatever. But like the amount I will defend the Calypsos, I know is amplified by that, and just like it's so visceral and so detailed, and so just like I think it's a lot of people who don't have siblings, and a lot of people who then like are like looter shooter. Like it's hard to miss like or hard to pay attention to a lot of the like content and stories that are like going through because you're doing other stuff while they're yelling at you and yammering and whatever. But like I will have people just say with their full chest that like he never, you know, like she never cared about him or, you know, anything like that. And like when he suddenly is like, no, this is my turn, like I have the powers, this is what I'm doing, she's very much like, Troy, like careful, but okay, fine, you're in charge kind of thing. Like it's very like there's that tension there absolutely between them, but like she has spent her entire life giving up half of her literal life force, half of her food, half of her everything to keep this boy alive. Like Typhon literally built these like bots like through this bullshit to like try to take care of them and kept them locked in fucking cages and physically abused them and like always favored Tyrene. He never calls Troy by name, he always calls him the boy,
right?
And Tyrene is very much like so resentful of that, but she's the reason they left Necrotafeo. And so when we break down all the stuff and this like dynamic they have, like there's this like joint resentment there, and it makes sense in that moment for the moment he gets a taste of that power and having that freedom of like doing this by himself for him to completely overextend and kill himself with it. And because he was always the chronically ill sibling of the two, like that was just always there. And so for me, it's just like that makes sense for him to be able to sustain that kind of thing, because she was always the one with the power to eat the salt monster. He literally instantly OD'd on this shit basically. Right. And I think it absolutely makes sense for then her to have to like carry that after killing Typhon after this, and like having her Jack moment up off the deep end, like I'm too far in for this. But they're also evil for the sake of evil. Like they're not like Jack, who believe they're the hero. They're like, this is our birthright. And that's fascinating to me when it's done well. And I feel like so much of their story is behind these echoes and side missions that we just like don't get. So people are like, oh, they're annoying streamers, like go away. And instead there is a lot of, you know, family dynamic there that is really interesting to me that just isn't executed as well as it could be. And I blame a lot of that on like pacing and editing, more so than the writing.
I could think that could be, maybe that could be the case, because just from what my collection of it always just felt basically like you said, especially bringing up like Typhon never even calling him by name. So it's just like you almost want Troy to get this, get this feeling. And then what I would have hoped, the reason why I would have pushed it is say the opposite happens and he kills Tyrene because of the power.
Yeah.
I think I would have, the reason why I would still be for it is because then he realizes, oh shit, she's the reason why I'm here.
But I don't think that he has the rage to be the BBEG at that point. Like I think her having the like, you know, this was our birthright. This is like you literally were trying to hold us back, and all this rage at Typhon and this rage at Troy dying and all this stuff to take over and like eat this fall monster and go. Versus like she's always been the show. Troy's always been the brains behind the show at that point. And so if Troy, I feel like if he does that, overpowers, kills Tyrene, if we still have Typhon at that point, if we don't, like, I feel like, yeah, you're right. And it's very much like, oh shit kind of moment. I don't think he has the rage at the point to be like, no, like I'm doing this for my sister and this was our birthright and this was this and this is what I'm after. I think at that point he just doesn't know how to survive because he's never had to survive on his own. Like he would just die. Like he can't feed himself at that point.
Yeah. Which is fair. Like I said, especially deep lore, that's totally valid. So
I will get on my villain high horse many times.
As you should. Yeah, like I said, I'm at this point, especially with so much, because I don't dive into lore much at all anymore, especially when they're just hidden behind things. And like if I'm not enjoying the story or just the progression enough, I'm not going to dive deep.
It makes total sense. And I've dissected these games more than stealthy for anything. And that's, you know, people's rage about Ava. People like I have my soapbox that I go on with, like, you know, opinions are valid. I totally get it. Things are annoying, whatever. But also like, here's the nuance, here's the context. And I feel like I sound like such a douchebag every time. Media literacy is kind of dead. And, you know, when things aren't really spoon fed, or if there is like the, you know, turn on its head kind of moment, a lot of people, if it's on the instant gratification of like this emotion on what they expect, like it's there. But characters aren't allowed to grow in games like Borderlands. and like they aren't allowed to like stumble and like change how they're feeling because we're like doing this looter shooter thing. We don't have that kind of like progression. Like Borderlands 2 take place within a span of like a day. Like it's just like nothing, right? And so when you're looking at all this shit, what people want from these games, and when they like, this is what I would have done in the story, great. That doesn't flow in this kind of narrative story. And I feel like sure. Ava and Tyreen and Troy were three of the only characters, you could count Lilith, but whatever, who had an arc in 3, like a character, like their demeanor changes, their energy changes, their whatever changes. Like we have a reveal from Tanis and stuff like that, but they're the 3 that get the most criticism, but they do have the most growth over the campaign. And it's ironic because it's supposed to be Lil with her like, hey, I'm learning how to like be this leader without being a siren, but like she just gets her powers back, and it's like, you know, then she goes self-sacrifice, and it's a whole thing, right? And I do bet we'll get closure from that in 4, but like I don't even know if I want it at a point. Like I do, but like I don't trust the fandom with anything. I just don't trust us. We kind of suck. Like I love the community. I love us, but we kind of suck. We're just critical of everything. Like,
yeah, I mean, well, it's you're never gonna, especially hardcore fans, like they're fans for different reasons. And when you have a game that's meant to be a genre that's meant to be grinded, it has nothing to do with the characters, or the story. It has everything to do with the gameplay and the gameplay loop.
Exactly.
So, so like, which even for this, you now essentially just 180'd the perspective now that I have a deeper understanding of just like the lore behind it, you know, and now it's like, okay, you know what, that's fair. It makes sense now that why Troy couldn't have lasted over Tyreen.
I love doing this for people though, because people come in about TPS and be like, I hate the gravity, I never played it, whatever, and then I monologue about it for a little bit, and then like 2 weeks later they'll come back and I haven't seen them, they're like, I tried TPS again and it's a lot of fun, it's actually like a really well done game.
Well,
I'm like, thank you.
I'd be on your side. I will not. The only thing TPS I feel was just the story slogged a smidge for me, like from going just to and fro places is just a little long, but even then the movement up until 3, and even then I still actually enjoy TPS over 3 for movement. I absolutely adore TPS.
TPS is great. The only complaint I have about it is the lack of gear acquisition system.
Yeah.
And that's about it, because it's hard to grind, but story-wise, fantastic.
Yeah, I think it had one of the better stories for its time. Obviously, the characters are top-notch.
Is great.
Oh, it's the best DLC in the franchise.
The best skill trees of all the Vault Hunters too, I think. I think they're the best Vault Hunters in the franchise.
Well, literally to me, when it came out, and I probably felt at the time, many probably felt that way, it just felt like Borderlands 2 on steroids, almost.
Yeah.
Like, and which isn't a bad thing. It's like they clearly just took all the BL2 characters and kind of combined them into these 4, and then soon to be 6 with
Timothy and
Aurelia.
And both slap. Aurelia fucking slaps, man. People don't love her enough.
And so it's I'm a TPS stan for those reasons alone.
Same.
And then my other hot take is I think Wonderlands is the only game in the franchise that actually did co-op right.
Honestly, could agree with that. Yeah.
Because it's wild to me. This is the first game after what, a decade or more than a decade?
Yeah, more than a decade.
12 plus years, where it's the first game you don't. If somebody save quits or like an activity is over, you don't get kicked from the lobby or like have to invite people.
Any type of co-oping in 2 and 3 2 especially, but like they're just nightmares. Like I love if I'm doing like a one life co-op or something and like things just happen. It's like, that just co-op. That's just what it is. Like you just randomly will respawn loading into a map and you're like, cool, this is great.
Yeah,
it's so broken.
So that's me, and that's what. It's always funny for this franchise. It's like I won't say 2 steps back, 1 step forward, or whatever, anything like that. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But it's just like so many things I like that they do in different times. It's like just put it all together.
I'm hopeful.
Yeah,
I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
I don't know why I say it like that, question mark, but like I genuinely am. I feel like I drag K6 when he's just like, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm like, bro, say it with your chest. Like, it's fine. Like I'm okay being wrong. I'm okay being like, I'm excited for whatever they bring before and Wonderlands 2 and everything they haven't announced and rumored and whatever and movie. Like, this is my favorite franchise. I'd rather be excited for it than not and rooting for it than not.
Right.
And I don't think that separates from like, you know, being critical. But I don't think people think that like, it's just amazing to me that people think like being, you know, harassing online is what's going to like change the game for what they want. And also I feel like half the time what we think we want isn't actually what we want, and or why we can't get it for reasons we're not really processing. And you know, I feel like I saw Epic actually tweet about that a lot with the Wonderlands Redux and stuff like that, where it's just like things you want to do in games sometimes can't be done because of XYZ. And you learn a lot through that process of like the compromise and the killing your darlings of stuff, of how to make this like, okay, what's the note behind the note here? And right. I feel like that's what I want from 4 is what's the note behind the note. I don't want the angry mob online who like say like this is the best thing ever, like, or this is the worst thing ever, or whatever it is. I want to figure out what works and what doesn't, and them to do what they do well and commit. I want to see them make some changes, some big swings, and make a more modern game at that point, because we still have a very dated, broken game that we'll play to death. But like, let the franchise grow. And I think to do that, you have to let go of some of the stuff that people are just so attached to.
Well, that's where I'm at, and why up until their recent departure with, I'm blanking on the name at the moment, Embracer, which I'm happy, because I feel like that hopefully opens up their creative freedoms a lot more. But up until that point, I was on the fence of, I do not, for what I want out of the franchise, I just didn't feel like 2K/Gearbox were going, which is expanding, which is, I don't want here's a decent game that you can't dialogue skip after 14 years. You can't, you literally just replaying the campaign. Like, give me an adventure mode to where I can be like, I can just do stuff on a new character without having to play through the story 8 times. Like, these are things that have existed for decades now in other titles like Skyrim, literally, or probably even before Skyrim. Like, you could dialogue skip there. That game came out in 2011. Like, you know, that's an open world RPG.
Exactly. Like, you know, there are ways to implement the things that like people end up modding all the time for.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, you know, so the bare minimum quality of life things that need to be not only in this franchise, but in my opinion, just games in general.
Yeah.
You know, so that, and I just don't want a standard campaign and then a couple of DLCs that are good, but don't really add much in the grand scheme of things down the line. Like, I just need more for what I want out of this genre of game. And I prefer like the Borderlands franchise over Destiny, for example. I like what they have to offer more.
Yeah.
Just give me, you know, so just give me, expand.
Give me what I want.
Expand. Like, and it's not even just for me, because I don't want that to even be selfish, but it's just like the stuff that people are used to, aka like going and farming in
dedicated
Invincible.
Drops with at
like
launch,
it's like, sure, I get it, these things can be there, but this franchise can be so much more, and it's been proven elsewhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, take what you know works and then put your own Borderlands charm to it. And like, that's literally it. And so hopefully with their creative freedoms, hopefully it does open up to that. And that's what I guess, you know, I'm more on the cautious level of like, I'm hopeful kind of where you're at.
Yeah.
But you know, at the end of the day, I guess we'll never know until it drops, and it's just speculation. But and then there's also a part of me, it just feels like they're just kind of wanting to soak up, you know, Borderlands 4 is going to come out, and then a couple years later, Wonderlands 2 is going to come out. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, are they going that direction to where it's just kind of IP soaking at this point and not really wanting to give people a longevity title?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
spaghetti at the wall at a point too, where it's just like, like what's gonna actually give it some legs and some longevity.
Yeah, and hopeful, excited, scared.
Scared, shitless, anxious, crying every night about it. Yeah, you know.
Like, I mean, there's a million games we can play.
Yeah.
Right. Like, at the end of the day, so it's just like, you know, why do we care so much? You know, and the answer is because we want to see these franchises succeed. Yeah. We put so much time and effort and love into what they've become. But it's like, I don't know. I don't know where to go from here, you know? Because like, even for me, I stopped being a Borderlands creator, and I'll air quote that. Like, I'm still circled around with people who this is a lot of their
running in the crew. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I literally was at the Borderlands house as an example. It's just because this is a literal franchise that brought me to these people.
The psychic damage that Karma gave me by hopping in my chat one day and unprompted going, Lion, Epic is eating Chipotle with a hot dog bun. And then he left. That was it. And I was like, I
was staring right at him when he did it. Yeah.
Like, literally, Karma came in just to tell me that and then left. And then I was left with that horrified image for so long. Actually, the only other thing he said, I said, is Epic a real person? He said, no, he's a literal cartoon character. And that was it.
Yeah. Very fair as well. He also put like ketchup on it too, or something. My God. So
just when I want to give him redemption, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because he said it was like a Sofarita bowl too. Why the fuck would you? Okay. That's a whole other podcast. Just yell at him for me. Give him my love. I don't like we don't talk. Tell him fuck that. Absolute cursed, but love and light.
He knows. He trusts me. I mean, he was getting shit for it the whole week.
Good, because it has traumatized me.
Yeah, but it's at the end of the day, it's just a franchise that we all want to see succeed.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think
massive mob mentalities for it.
Want it to be more all the time because we love it. It's born out of love, even if the internet best knows how to express it out of hate.
Yeah, that's
how I have to look at it.
Yeah, that's well said. I mean, but even then too, it also depends on your bubble and circles, right? Like,
well, that's the thing. I tell people all the time that like this is like an echo chamber of like Ava sucks, the twins suck, 3 suck, whatever, because like that's not people outside of like the online content creator kind of stuff. Like when we're in when we're in Jack and Ty walking around, there's so many people who know who Tyrene is and come bow down to her and love her and don't know who I am. Like there are people who literally are like, oh yeah, I like kind of recognize you, but like Tyrene clips of like people will scream God Queen Tyrene and come like sprint over. Like people do love these newer games and these different characters and different swings, and because they're not playing it for the same reasons that other people are, and also just it resonates differently. Or if you're not the person they're satirizing, it's probably easier to love them. Like it's just there's a lot that goes into it that I feel like like the vast majority, clearly Handsome Jack is like on all these lists, right? Steel had like no fucking character. I wish she did. Steel was fucking nothing. We don't even know where her fucking powers were. Like she shows up and gets impaled and that's it. Yeah. And it's sad. And I would love a moment if they're going to bring back one of the villains, bring back all the villains and just like do that thing, because I want more on Steel. And that's just
that's what I said. With even though I doubt they'll do it, they set themselves up to have that reset button.
They're not gonna do it. I'm gonna shake the next person who brings up this crystal and plot owes me a margarita or something. I swear to God, like I can't.
That's fair. I'm with you where I don't think they're gonna do it either.
I know, but I have to have this fight all the fucking time.
But the issue, because you also said New Tales is canon.
So it is canon, but that doesn't mean they have to use it. That doesn't mean that.
I agree, but but on the devil's advocate, why would they not set themselves up for the?
Because it was a different portion. This Gearbox Q-Pack is a completely different. Okay.
Very fair. Again, I don't think they're going to either. Again,
they're not going to.
I don't think they're going to either.
Jolts, I'm looking at you too. You encourage this. All of you encourage this. Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen. Don't fearmonger it.
Yeah. But
my God.
It's also it would make sense if they wanted to. For the war is coming, if they wanted to bring back everyone under the sun who's ever been existing in Borderlands across the world, across all the games.
Sure, but 3 did do that. 3 did that. Pandora was literally cracking under our feet. Like it literally like the world was destroyed and everyone we knew was coming together at this point for it. So like there's argument that was the start of that is established there.
Okay, fair.
I think it's a matter of perspective. I think the fact that so many people missed it, I would be like, as a writer, be like, okay, no, then that wasn't what that was. Don't worry about it. We're doing it again if that was a thing. Yeah. But I think the argument is there. But a lot of people even miss like the Nereid bullshit and like the Seventh Siren line and like all this other stuff. Like I keep saying we're gonna get Search for Spock with Lilith. It's gonna be this like alternate, I don't want to say timeline, but like dimension that she's in, because like the time warp of the vaults of like we know vaults exist in a different dimension. That's the thing. Right. They're on a different like plane basically. I think she's stuck in the actual Iridian homeworld because we know that's on Necrodeveo. I think she's stuck there or in a vault there, and therefore the balance of how many sirens are in the universe, it's like out of whack. And I think there's going to be stuff around that and we're going to finish Lilith's story with this, but I think that's going to be a lot of it, the search of it.
I like that direction. That sounds solid, because for the longest, because I actually had that same question of, okay, what's going on with this max amount of sirens thing, and blah blah blah, and like apparently you can pass them down to people with like what
you can choose who it goes to,
right, like so all that. So I was like, I wonder where they're gonna go with that.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like Lilith's become the seventh siren, or like whatever is born from that seventh siren. Like I think we're gonna like have some of that darkness with that in there, and I would love evil Lil. I don't think we're gonna get it, but I would love that. But I think the darkness of those sirens, of what like the twins could have been and what steel could have been and all this stuff. Like, you're dealing with, you know, these godly powers. Like, that's gonna feed into some of that, you know, Borderlands narrative of absolute power absolutely corrupts. And so we're gonna see that. But I think that's absolutely, it's too intentional of a line in 3 to like not have done. But like Randy has confirmed so many times on Twitter that like Lilith's alive. Find Elvis, find Lilith, and that's it. And so I think all
I'm saying to end it for you is, I think for fan service and just feeling like if you have the end game where all of these dead and gone characters are just people that beloved walk in,
you can just say people want to fuck Maya and you just have Maya come back.
No, not even her. Like, imagine seeing like Scooter and Roland walking out together as a generic example.
Well, Scooter's a creep and I'm cosplaying him, so like whatever. And like Roland has a statue. What do we need from him?
No, right. But I'm just saying it's this feeling alone that understand. Like. So I'm not one for bring back nostalgia. For me personally, I would say move the fuck on and give us some just brand new characters with some good personality.
Yeah.
Or reason to root for them. But I'm just saying I can 100% see the aspect of bringing back Steel and all of these people and whatever, and having some wild showdown. Like, and then on top of that, Fiona's still missing. Like this whole thing with like, you know, like
Sasha,
we can and Sasha. So like that, not only could you have fan service of bringing back beloved characters for a sport like a short.
I don't trust any of them touching the Tails characters.
No, that's exactly, that's my point. Like that's such a good storyline right there. That's just over here.
I loved Reese Strongfork so much. Now I want to stab him in the face with any object near me. Like I genuinely, he comes on screen and I get viscerally angry. Like every time I play through 3 on stream, I have to stop and heckle him. Like I physically can't.
Mm-hmm. So to me, that's the only reason why I'd be like, they could have that moment right there and do something wacky and fun or very heartfelt and like, you know, but.
Or I think that people would just get mad at fan service. That's the thing. I just like, if you're doing it for a narrative reason or for like a finale reason, I think like people are just gonna
I mean it for a finale. Some wild the power of friendship.
And Borderlands 8 when they come in. Like,
So I just feel like that could happen. But at the end of the day, I just want good characters. I would like a good narrative. I would like a
I would like a story.
Well, no, I mean, because I did feel 3 was a little long.
Yeah.
For me personally.
Eden 6 section
is... Eden 6, I genuinely... And again, the reason why I praise Wonderlands is because I genuinely just feel like it was because of the driving. Yeah. Like, it was just big. It was just big and vast, barren wasteland almost, but with trees. Like, you know, so it's like, condense that, give us some cool characters, and boom. Like, we have fun areas, and we're good to go.
I think it's going to work out.
So... Do you think an announcement? I mean, we know 4 is coming. What do you think is going to be announced with the movie?
I think it'll be after the movie. I'm gonna guess. Either I doubt at GCX just so whatever, but GCX Gamescom or PAX West. If we're gonna get it this year, I think it'll be one of those.
As in an announcement or a game?
Announcement? No, I don't think. Okay. I think we're gonna have. I think we're gonna have the 6 to 9 month timeline after. I think if they announce it in September, it's gonna be you know March we come out because the Borderlands 3 operate under that 6 month, and then Borderlands was like 9. But yeah, I think they're gonna announce 4 imminently. With how much marketing they're doing with movie and very specific stuff. And they're not on a list anywhere I see yet, but I do anticipate one of those, and then us getting a game in probably Q1, Q2, 2025.
Look at you. Jot it down.
Literally come back and tell me I'm right. Like, it's fun.
That's incredible.
I think too much about it from a marketing standpoint. Every time people are like, they would do it before the movie because like whatever, they would do it like during the movie or like in the end credits of the movie. I'm like, no, they won't. Like, I
mean, if we go with like a Fallout approach, I think that was probably the best thing Bethesda could have done, right? Yeah. Like TV show drops and then a next gen update for 4, like pretty.
I think they could do like timings. A teaser of like, you know, like ooh, more Borderlands soon kind of thing, or like a little 4 silhouette and be like, okay, cool, but they're not gonna be like date March 19th. Like they're not gonna. They want to show the gameplay. They want to do so. Like they know what our community is like. They're gonna want to show.
They care?
I think they care. I think some people care. I do think they care. Whether that was Embracer, Gearbox, 2K, whoever's like knocking stuff around, but I do think Gearbox cares more than people think they do. Just from my experience, and that's my own biased experience of like talking to people who like work there or used to work there. Same with that. Like I think people who make these games love these games generally, and we're very unforgiving as a fandom a lot of the time, like a lot of fandoms are. But I think it really, like, I saw Randy tweet, and like, he doesn't need my defense, but I saw Randy tweet earlier about the White Castle thing, and then one of the comments was just like, this is what's going to be wrong with the franchise because you're focused on this instead of the game. I'm like, one, he's under a different portion of the studio now. He left the game side for the film and TV side, but two, people do more than one thing. What job do you think he like? That's not how. Okay, what is this helping? I mean, what is this helping? Like,
yelling at the social media manager.
Yeah, like I'm like, that's the thing. It probably wasn't even him.
Tweet. Yeah, exactly.
It's probably just a stock like White Castle's tweet that someone like me scheduled. Like,
right. I mean, it's the standard case of it's just the minority has the loudest voice. Well, I don't even say loudest, but just the voice you're hearing. You know what I mean? Like, or sure. The person you see shouting.
For sure.
It's all it comes down to. And it comes down to the circle. I mean, there's a lot of bad eggs in any franchise in terms of community. There's a lot of great people.
And that's the thing. I shit on us because I'm in it, so I can. Like, I'm the worst. Like, it's fine. Like, Damien Clark looked me in the face and said, oh, so you're the problem, or like you're one of those or something like that. I'm like, yep, that's me. Like, that's me. And like it's fun. It's whatever. Like, I get it. Like, people have opinions and they're gonna have strong opinions, and it's because we care. And you know, I never mean to be like a holier than thou, like, you know, we protect deserve better, but like I don't know, I have so much respect for people making something. Like, going back to like, a game is just kind of made and we see this finished product, but we don't see the years and years and years that go into so much of it, and like the legal that comes in, the shareholders that come in, or then this tech issue, or like whatever. Like, everything that goes into it is fascinating to me. And it's not linear. Like, someone, when I tweeted about being excited for the movie, when the poster dropped, was fighting me because they were like, people like me are the problem because like they're going to see this and be like, you know, oh, we're okay with it, so then they're not going to do anything to change it. I'm like, this is a picture locked movie. They're in marketing. What do you think being mad about Kevin Hart being shorter than you think Roland would be in real life is going to do? They're going to go reshoot right now, redo the movie? Like, that's not how this works. Like, you can be excited for something, and I think people are just so afraid to be wrong or like look dumb. And so that's why it's so much easier to be negative, because it's so much less embarrassing to be proven like wrong about being negative about something and be like pleasantly surprised and be like, oh, they surprised me, and like feel superior that way versus like being excited for it and then being disappointed by it.
Right. No, I can agree with that for sure. I think it's that, and I also think it's a combination of both ways for how people feel about creators, thinking that we have way more pull than we do. We being generalized.
My God, I ran into K6 about this. Like, literally, what do you think we do?
And then either they think we have more pull, or the opposite, to where it's just like, oh, they're never going to listen to you anyways.
It's literally like you think you're someone and you're not, or like you clearly already have the game. Like, I saw someone accuse Epic not too long ago on Twitter that he's already like played 4 and like all this other shit. I'm just like, where the fuck are people getting this stuff? Like, what do you think we do? Like, it just doesn't.
Yeah. And I've seen both ends. I've seen times where it's just like, why don't, you know, very passionate creators who have been around this space for years get more love and like more insight on things? And then I've also seen where they actually ask for creator feedback quite often when it comes to in Wonderland's case. Like, there was a lot of implementations. A lot.
But like, there's the thing, like a lot of creators and will prove like their best interest isn't there, you know, and it's a hard line to go when you're like wanting to bring in like creator trust and do that and like these voices, but like we're wrong a lot of the time too of what we think would be like best or whatever else like that. And like there's a difference between being a consultant or like being like playtester, or like coming in for like, I have the pulse on this kind of like, you know, this part of the community or this part of the game, or hey, I've noticed these bugs, or like, you know, we have such a specific insight that I think is helpful, because it's so hard when you're so close to a project to see the big picture of it a lot of the time. But there are plenty of times and plenty of fandoms where people are very much like more excited to, you know, be the hero of something, to either expose something or do this, or feel like they would have done it perfectly, because people come to them thinking that like they're gonna know how to do this, so their answer is gonna be the right answer. And it's really frustrating at that point to be like, I feel like that's why then creators get taken less seriously, because there are so many that will just like clickbait and have that rage farm basically, or be bad for an NDA or like whatever. And it's
not
just,
only that,
yeah,
it's also creators who dedicate all their time to one thing or a franchise or whatever the case. They are the 1%.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
their take, granted, it could be a great take for the hardcore fan base of the people who do things similar, aka they play Borderlands 3 for 14 hours a day, they play whatever, you know what I mean? Like, that's not the average consumer.
I am not the average consumer for Borderlands, and I tell people this. I have a fucking Helios tattoo. People don't even know what Helios is when I tell them. But I'm like, it doesn't even like. There's nothing there, and I feel like that's one of my favorite things. Talking to one of the people on the game we were talking about, where it's just like, people have to remember that when people pick up like Borderlands 3, Borderlands 4, Borderlands 5, whatever, that could be the very first video game they're ever playing. Like, you have to at some point understand that all games are like that, where it's like, this isn't just like for the hardcore fans and this, and you go like, this is still someone's first introduction to the franchise, to games in general, to do whatever. And it's not saying to dumb it down or make it tutorial based or do whatever, but it's like, you have to understand that these games aren't, I'm going to buy this game regardless on every platform I have. More times than I've bought Uno, I will buy it on every single one.
And that's hard to do.
And that's hard to do, but I will find a way to do it. And it's what it is. But they know that they don't need to impress me and what I want to buy the game. But Borderlands is one of the few games that aren't like these microtransaction live service games that are still profitable. And I think that shows something about the actual size of this community. But these aren't games designed in mind for people like us who are going to put thousands of hours into these weird challenge runs.
Right.
It's just not. And so what we sometimes want best for the game isn't what's best for the average consumer. And I find when I introduce people to Borderlands, it's easier to get them in through the original tales and through Borderlands 3. And then I introduce them to 2, because 2 is still so dated that if people aren't really video game savvy and or don't really know the story, they can't get into it. Because from outside of our echo chamber, yeah, it's a great game. It is hard to get people hooked on it because it does suffer from that. And we never want to touch it. If they ever made a remaster, or people would reject it and be like, no. And I would love it, but like, it's not, we're going to go back to playing a broken ass game. And it's
they would need to actually like update it with good quality of life choices and such.
Yeah.
For sure.
I don't think unless it was like a very similar game, but like you could do auto pickup and not need mods and like this kind of stuff, and people's mods wouldn't break. I feel like people like Jolt would go back and still play the original 2. If it was built in 3 engine, they would still go play the original 2.
Or if it comes with memory leak.
Yeah. Smoke into septics, immediately leave the jet.
But no, it's quite interesting, especially being in the space at one point when I met everyone through playing 2. Going into 3.
For sure.
Just how drastically just the communities obviously grew. But it's also funny too with the average viewer's perspective, or what they think success is based off of like a Twitch directory or YouTube views, and not realizing how much actual pull not only this franchise but franchises as a whole do, that you don't see the numbers.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like people genuinely have no idea.
Yeah. And of course you want a game to do amazing on live streaming services and, YouTube videos and whatever, because that feels like there's a lot of traction there, of course. But I don't know. I mean, it's transitioning to, I think, a bunch of roguelikes like Dead Cells, Hades, etc. Those are some of the most replayable games on the market that have amazing everything, and those have a lot of the time dead directories on Twitch.
Yeah, because they're like built in for that, and it's just like the pacing of it and everything else like that. It's also not, it's not gatekeepy. I feel like Borderlands can be a little gatekeepy, not intentionally, but if people don't know what it is, it's hard to click on it and just like naturally be interested in what you're doing,
Right. And that's what, when I praise Wonderlands about actually being the first true co-op experience for a game that's supposed to be 4-player co-op. And it's just like,
don't get me started on 3 and PlayStation. It just like, fucking.
We can go for part 2. There's a lot of tea in 3 with.
There's so much.
My streaming days on it, and
we'll need to do a part 2. We'll need to do a part 2.
We can get into the juicy juice of
the
it
tea
for sure.
episode, yeah, for
Stuff
sure. It's
before you
tea
came
time
in.
with BlameFrost.
Yes, we can definitely do that. It'll be something because I think it was before you came around. I don't know when you jumped into like
No,
the
for
streaming
sure.
space for
The streaming
Borderlands, but
space was oh god, 2022, 2021, 2022,
okay.
one of the two. I
Yeah,
don't remember.
gotcha.
Whatever, I think it was 2022. Whatever. I don't know. I'll look it up one day. Twitch will tell me and be like, "Hey, happy 3 years."
Well,
Be like, "All right."
Was it Borderlands that got you in?
Yeah, it was Borderlands that got me in. So it was one of those things that I always like wanted to like do game content kind of stuff, and I just always lived with like roommates and this and the PlayStation and like it was never a thing that was like possible. And so then when I lived alone, I was like, ooh, okay, maybe. But I was like right when lockdown hit, and I had absolutely like I still had just a PlayStation, and I had a job that just was taking every single waking moment of my life and unreliable internet. And I was like, no, not a thing. And so when I left that apartment, moved into this one, something was just like, I like was about to quit my job and like all this stuff. And I was just like, it's crazy. And it's funny because no one believes me, but I was obsessed with Borderlands at the time, just replaying the game. Like I would finish a story mode and restart same day. Like I would just like continuously play this game for like comfort because autism, baby. And that's what happens. And so at one point I remember I was like in my pool and I was like on the edge, like scrolling my phone. And I was just like, okay, but like, what if I just like I play Borderlands every day anyway. What if I just like played it on like Twitch or something? Because I was like a Twitch mod for like horror like friends and like stuff like that. And but I had never looked up Borderlands because I just assumed no one ever played it. And I looked it up, and it had to be at a time where just like K6, Jolt, Smoke, no one was online. Like it was like the perfect time of day to look for just like it had like 40 people in the directory. And I was just like, yeah, that seems like okay, but like maybe like with movie coming out and then like if there's another announcement, then like new Tales, and like I was like, or at that point, new Tales hadn't been formally announced, but I like heard rumors and like whatever, and I was just like, okay, what if I just do it? Because I cosplay anyway, and it's fine, and just like you'll have some people, it's fine. And then I made a Twitch and did it, and then immediately realized how much like YouTube and like all this. I was like, oh, there is a very massive online. This isn't just like no one's playing this game. It was just I had no fucking idea because I never played the game for like that kind of farming. It was just like me grinding characters and like story mode bullshit and for 1,000 of hours. And so when I like realized that, I was like, oh, this is why I have no idea what I'm doing, because I never like went on Reddit and was like, how do I go get the grog nozzle and keep it forever? I was like, well, this seems pointless, and then I never used it. It's just Borderlands got me in, but 1,000 thing. I was on this war game.
You are the peak casual like experience that that developers or like publishers talk about when it like that's you're literally on their game just as much as a hardcore person, but doing nothing.
I was doing nothing, bro. I like literally like I at one point I figured out what a bee was, and I like tried to farm it for like 2 weeks and it never dropped, and I was so annoyed because I was like, I want it now because it's not dropping, but I never did dedicated job farming. I literally I was so like Terra Morpheus had like fucked me up or whatever, and I was just like I was doing Chromax one day and I was like, you know what, I never tried a raid boss, like maybe I'll get something cool, because I was just trying to grind another Maya to 80 because that's all I fucking did, and because I only played Maya, and I like went and I was like 1,000 hours at this point, like absolute nightmare. I was like, let me just go, like Chromax I just finished a DLC, like let me just go do that. I pay their rating, I walk in, immediately get my shit wrecked. I'm like, oh, I get it, this is a different fight. Like I had no idea. And so it just, because I was PlayStation and I wasn't in the online community of it, but I played it every fucking day.
Right. It's almost like too sweet, you know? You just like, I won't even have words to explain.
I feel funny. It's oh honey, oh sweetie kind of moment every time. Like literally when I first started streaming, I was like, oh, I know everything and nothing about this game. Because again, at this point, I was already the lore encyclopedia. Like someone at 2K before had been like, you literally internally called you like the encyclopedia of the Borderlands universe. I'm like, amazing, I love this. Apparently knew nothing about fucking farming, and so it was just like, oh, okay, that's fine. And so
You have a whole backstory of Viridians and how they became a thing, and then but you don't know where to get a beat.
Dude, my 94 sham dropped on stream, in one try. Like the first drop was the 94 sham. And it was a whole thing, whatever. And I was so casual about it because I was so just shocked. And I was like, because I never had a sham drop like fucking ever until like one day Smoke greeted me and I happened to meet Jack cosplay because I think it was for the hunt that year. And I got a sham drop and it was like a 79 or whatever it was, you know. But I was like, oh my god, the shame actually exists. I like got a shame, cool. Moved on with my life, right? There's still weapons I haven't gotten, and I have thousands of hours in this game. Like I like can't, I whatever. But I decided to do the sham farm just to kill time before I moved from PlayStation to PC because I only had like a couple more days before my PC would be ready. And I was like, I don't want to start a whole new run and then like have to transfer it. So let me just like start a sham farm and something that I could continue on PC and it not like break anything, right? And instead it was the first drop, and I was so stunned. I was like, okay, but there's like something wrong with it, right? Like I'm like, it's missing a part or something. Like it's not. And like Vocal had to like yell and chat at me. It's like, it is a 94. It is perfect. Like that's. I'm like, no, but there's like something missing from it though, right? Like there's like like I was just convinced that it couldn't have just happened. That there had to be some farming thing I wasn't thinking about before. I was like, cool, we did that. I was like, no, there's like an invisible like capacitor or something that like. It's actually not it, and someone on the internet's gonna be like, actually, it's like, I'm like, no, okay, no, that just happened, and like, I genuinely had no idea.
That's good. That's
it's
good.
The worst. It's so embarrassing because again, encyclopedia for the fucking lore, cosplay this shit down to the detail of the eye clasp. Like, I can't, but no idea how to get. I still haven't had a Wonderlust drop. I've tried so many times. I've never gotten one to drop.
Which, yeah, it's. I think I'm on the level of I'd rather keep you around for the encyclopedia portion, which
it's
because you don't have enough like Bad Karma. He's very into lore when it comes to stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not right.
And that's the thing. We have plenty of people. That's why I tell people all the time. I'm like, if you want efficient gameplay, because people be like, "Will you teach me Borderlands?" I'm like, here's the thing. Yes. However, there are better people teaching Borderlands too. If you want to be the coolest person playing Borderlands, yes, come to me. If you want to be the most efficient, maybe not, because it's just no. Like K6 and his builds, like Jolts and his like mods and his skips and whatever else like that. Like Deceptics and Smoke and their speed runs. Like people in their one life, Jufi's one life. Like everyone has a thing that they do well. McQuiggle and all his crazy fucking challenges. Same with Gas and like whatever. And these very specific like farms and drops. We need someone who is just like I'm a himbo with lore. Like that's what I am. Like and that's and I love it. And I will still sit there and fight people about how I think the bitch is better than the Sandhawk and absolutely die on that hill and talk about how I hate the Grog nozzle and can have those gear conversations. However, I'm in it for the lore. It's like I watch it for the plot.
I like that. Yeah. I like that. You should stick with it. If anything, I say you should double down on that and
I do.
Start and like. Well, I mean, in terms of like, I don't know. It's like, don't even play. Just break down actual.
I need to be making the video essays on YouTube. Is what you're saying?
Yes. Like
Mick has asked me so many times.
About.
McQuiggle has just been like, when is this happening? I'm like, I don't think I'm ready for that kind of responsibility because people are so wrong.
That's my point. This is. It doesn't need to be. You don't need to be consistent on YouTube, but you easily could just do. Here's why your takes are wrong.
Honestly, I have a thread of tweets that's been in my drafts forever. That's what your favorite Borderlands manufacturer says about you. That's just dragging people, and I've been in there for so long. And then one that's very similar with like lore. But
this is you. This is your calling.
Can I tell you one of the things I've been working on? And he knows I'm working on it, but one of the things I've been working on that I'm like waiting till I have enough to like spam drop that I'm like teasing people with. It's Sam Winkler tweets as Borderlands characters. And I'm doing a whole fucking TikTok on the most unhinged tweets I see that it's screenshotting, saving, and being like, this is Brick, this is Tina, this is whatever. Because he's so chaotic on Twitter that I'm like, no, it's here. It's here. And it's that kind of like deep cut lore kind of thing where I'll just be like, nope, this one is filed away. And I'm very excited for it. But
because I'll tell you right now, believe it or not, like I said, it's a lot of work on your end. But as somebody who like used to be very deep into like the Call of Duty zombies world, like their lore is so jam packed into the bare minimal things. Yeah. Not like and to where people will make extensive videos or theories or whatever. Like that's your bubble for this.
100%.
Like, dude. And I it could be out there more. I just haven't seen it because I don't look it up again. I don't watch a lot of lore, but.
No, there's like eruption and stuff, but there aren't people like doing the kind of manic breakdowns I went like, this is how deep it goes. I have such a specific headcanon that Jack can actually cook really well because like coding binges, like he says he like grew up like being smacked around coding, doing whatever, grandma drowned his cat when he didn't make his bed, whatever. So like very abusive, lonely childhood, right? And could go on that forever. But it's very that stereotypical when you're doing a lot of tech work and like, you know, college and things like that. Like you just like need that break. You need something like tactile, like different. And I imagine a lot that he got like into cooking, whatever. And it's one of those like douchebag things where no, he'll sit there and eat Doritos and like not give a fuck and like Funyuns on the desk and like fine. And he has, you know, these like basically Eggos in these packages that are like butt stallion waffles you can get in a vending machine kind of thing, whatever, right? Like that very specific kind of fuckboy stuff, but I also think he can cook. And one time I was just like in the background, had on like IGN when TBS came out, had Damian Clark come play it in character with people, right? And he sucks at the game and like whatever, but it's just like him as Jack talking and like doing this interview thing. And he talks about how he can actually cook really well. And I lost my fucking shit. And so much so, dude, literally, so the Dead or Alive just came out. And I haven't finished it, but Dead or Alive, the book just came out, right? And it starts with like what, or a little bit in there, it's like what they actually saw Reese and Fiona were in the vault, right? I have said 4 years with such confidence what Reese saw in that vault. And literally a month ago or something, someone was like, was one of my good friends was just like, where did that actually come from, by the way? Like, where is that in canon? And I couldn't place it. And I was like, no, I know for a fact this is a thing. Like, I've been saying this with full confidence. Am I just making this up? Is this like not actually what it is? The book comes out almost verbatim. What Reese got in the vault was what I've been saying. And I cannot find it listed anywhere else, but I've been saying it like fact for at least a year on stream.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
gaslit yourself.
I did. And I'm like, there has to be something somewhere. This one interview, something that has filtered this in, a line from a DLC or whatever. Like maybe reset it in this one-off thing. If you talk to him 18 times, maybe that's where I got it. But I was convinced. I was like, no, he like got how to like rebuild Atlas and make it successful. And like he stole the deed from Jack's office, like of course. But like that's why he saw like the future of how to like maintain this in the vault, which is why I think all of this is actually fake vault and New Tales. Like I have used this since New Tales came out as backbone for why like all this conspiracy theory with Reese, and they've never said it anywhere until this book just came out. I cannot find it fucking anywhere where I knew that.
Maybe you seen what's in the vault.
Maybe I have. I think I'm just like, I'm so this Borderlands AI in my head. It's just feeding me information at the point.
You have the Jack chip.
I really do. That's canon. It didn't get destroyed, so therefore in my head, like that's the only place I can think of it. Because
I think you need to run with this because there's not. I feel like for the bubble that I've been in for this franchise for years, there's not enough of this.
I'm the manic energy about the dumb little things. Like, yeah, absolutely.
But that's the thing is, it's not because not only is it canon because it's in these games, it's also you're able to flip hot takes on people's heads because of lore fact.
I've convinced people about fucking Ava on stream, and that is the most satisfying thing when people come in really mad about something, because I stopped just doing my normal. I used to do like every Sunday, just like casually play through the game because I love it. And every single time I got to Control Core, someone new would come in and be like, well, you know, Jack doesn't love Angel, it's actually abusive. And I'm like, okay, let's have a fight right now. Like, let's fight about this right fucking now. And so I stopped because I have the same conversation every single time I do a run like that. But I do convince people all the time. I do all the time. They are truthers now of correct Borderlands lore.
Which is, I mean, that's the thing is you're bringing this again. You're bringing this in from lore fact, and I think that's great. And
it is grounded in fact.
You should run this more. Like I said, it's a lot of work. Make a couple of videos on it. Of again, here's why your takes are wrong, or here actually, actually, I have thought about doing a
like people have asked for like a standalone podcast episode where I just ran about shit. I'm like, what if I just made that like unknown Borderlands lore, but not even unknown, but like things you got wrong about Borderlands lore.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because that's the thing is, even for me, and this is I'm somebody who again doesn't follow a lot of lore, so I go with surface level interactions.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with having my decisions or my thought process change because that's the point of discussion or like a back and forth. You should be open to, oh, here's why this doesn't work, or here's why, you know, this makes more sense, or blah blah blah, whatever. But
exactly, because you're smart.
Well, thank you. But yeah, so but that I think so you have a gold mine waiting to just shit on people with fact and feel great about it at the end of the day.
I really should. You're so right. You're so right. I really should.
Yeah, because it's there and it's
feeding
right
my
in front
ego
of you.
Is the perfect way to end this. Absolutely, just telling me what I need to be doing is talk more about Borderlands lore and to tell people they're wrong. Absolutely can do that.
Yeah, and you have everything you need to back it up right there. Granted, people would have to fact check it, which they're not going to.
They're not going to, and I probably do it with enough charm, or enough people would hate me, but enough people would be convinced.
Yeah, well, because here's a perfect example: is up until they did the extended cut murder mystery things with Ava and stuff, I did not think she had a good enough arc for my personal tastes with Vanilla 3.
Yeah,
I thought she started off great. I liked that she was a fangirl of Vault Hunters because she heard so much about us, and then she was a typical teenager, which is fine. But by the end, I didn't feel like for me
she earned anything.
She earned it for me. Other people disagreed. That's just how I felt. I felt, Epic would be like, she called Lilith out on her bullshit, which nobody else was doing. Therefore, thumbs up to Ava, and I'm like, that's very valid and fair. But when I'm just how I felt in the moment, it just didn't feel like Maya passing her siren powers on to this person. I mean, she's young. I mean, obviously the training wasn't done. You know what I mean? Like, her growth wasn't there. I just feel like it didn't extend enough. And then you see deleted scenes or extended cuts, and you're like, why would you remove some of the most emotional parts of showing signs of weakness or emotion with these characters? It blew my mind.
I think a lot of it's pacing, because the writers have talked about on Twitter too, like publicly, just that they really regret the funeral scene not being in the cut.
As they should, and not saying that negatively or like towards Shay, but it's just like,
no, like that would be one of the regrets I have of the game. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And it's like, if pacing is an issue, then how about you shrinking Eden 6? I bet you do that. If pacing is an issue elsewhere, don't give us iced tea as Baylex, even though I love it. Give me some much more.
So unexpected that I literally was playing. I was like, is that fucking iced tea? Like, it was just such an out of body moment. I'm like, it's not even iced tea being anyone else. It's iced tea. Iced tea being iced tea as Baylex.
It's like, it's like the show he was on when, I don't know if you've ever seen snippets of when he was, it was Law and Order. It was Law and Order, right? Or
it was Law and Order SVU. He played Finn Tutuola.
Yeah, so he's just playing Ice.
Did I ever see? We started this with my Law and Order bullshit.
I never fully watched him, so I don't know which one he was on. You know what I mean?
He was on SVU. There's a few crossover with a lot of stuff, but as someone who can identify an episode of SVU from seasons 1 through 11, if you send me a screenshot of Olivia Benson's hair, I can tell you exactly what episode and what season it is.
That is scary.
It's horrifying. They're like 20, 25 seasons or whatever now. Like, it's fine, but literally.
And this is this is what you need to expand on. You need to take advantage of these very unique traits about yourself.
The neurodivergencies I need to monetize.
Yes, you need to monetize this 1,000%.
That'll be a booth at this is the thing. Gearbox needs to hire me for like a reveal thing or a streamer thing or like a content thing where I just sit there. I have a little booth, like I'm like in Charlie Brown, like I'm in the Peanuts, my little 25-cent booth, and you come up and I'll argue a lore fact with you.
Yeah.
That's what I need. Or I need to tell you something random. Like, did you know Jack has Hyperion branded shoes? Where on the bottom of his shoes in the actual grooves, it has the Hyperion logo. And people will be like, that's not interesting. I'll be like, great. Do you know the name of Gage's like what? And just like go on the absolute biggest rabbit hole. And then people will walk away from me and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. We found it, and it's gonna take some time. This is it.
Gearbox, call me.
Even shorts for TikToks, just either did you knows, or again, here's why your take is wrong. And I think your ego is boosted tenfold.
And then when people argue with me, I get to make them wrong.
Yeah.
Because they're just based in fact.
Yeah, exactly. See, we did it.
We did it. We found it.
You're welcome,
we landed
Internet.
the plane. I love it. Did you have anything else you wanted to plug, or your social?
Oh, we could. This is no. For that, we'll do a part 2. We'll get into the tea. I'll give you some backstory at one point, how we got into this whole thing.
Hell yeah, I love it.
No, for now, this was a pleasure. This was amazing.
Thank you so much for coming on. It was so much fucking fun.
Yeah,
you're welcome back whenever.
Well, that's all on you. I would love to be back again. There's so much more. I mean, not even as Borderlands. I did want, as we seen here, a little segment for it, because this is what brought us together initially.
It was
down the line, and but we could extend forever. But this is great. I would love a part 2. There's a lot of juiciness. Granted, I mean, you don't seem like you're into the drama or anything. Of course, it's naturally surrounded, or maybe you are. I don't know. Yeah,
it's a lovely secret. The world may never know.
Okay, well there it is, but
I'm the girl in the streaming community. There's some assumptions.
Very
around.
factual. Yeah. But I'll leave this with I I was very prominent in the beginning of BL3's vanilla life cycle.
Ooh, we got some tea to talk about then.
And there's a lot there, and it's of course it's just one man's perspective at the end of the day. But I look at things very objectively. I'm not, so
I would love to hear your thoughts as someone on the battlefield during those precious days.